Take your event to the next level with Crossroads TV. Professional audio and video production, multi-camera live streaming, audio system for your panels and entertainment, plus stunning video screen production on LED walls. High quality, seamless production, tailored to your needs. Let us bring your vision to life. Contact us today.
Call to order. Could we all stand for the pledge of allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike Joseph.
Here.
Dale Macklin.
Here.
Fran Hudson.
Here.
Doris LaBranch.
Here.
Adam Lint.
Here.
Lee Trahan.
Here.
And Jeff West.
Here.
And do we have any conflicts of interest this evening?
I don't believe so. I don't.
Okay. Approval of minutes from previous meeting. We have December 9th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Jeff West.
Yes.
Mike Joseph.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Fran Hudson.
Yes.
Doris LaBranch.
Yes.
Adam Lint.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Also for this minutes, December 17th.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? No discussion?
Mike Joseph.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Fran Hudson.
Yes.
Doris LaBranch.
Yes.
Adam Lint.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
And Jeff West.
Yes.
Motion to approve minutes from December 17th passes 7-0. On to communications. We still have the Charter Review Committee tabled. And we're on to the communications with MMA regarding the town manager's hiring process.
I'm sorry, Audra, can we go back to the Charter Review Committee?
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to make a note that per Robert's rules, if it's been more than 3 months, it becomes a dead issue and would have to be brought up again unless somebody wants to make a motion to redo it, start, or put it back on the table, starting with a new period of
What was
time.
the 3-month rule, Fran?
It's the quarterly. If you don't bring it up in that well, Bill, you can help us out, can't you?
We've tabled some things for about
It's a
year.
Roberts rule, though. It is.
A year.
Bill's going to speak on it.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure. My understanding is that Fran is taking a course in Robert's Rules at the present time, and she sent me several pages out of Robert's Rules, and there is a provision that states if something is laid on the table and it is not brought up by the end of the meeting following when it was put on the table, then it expires. Now, the council has had a very long-standing practice before I became town attorney of laying things on the table and perhaps each month just, in essence, leaving it there to go to the next month. However, that does appear to be contradictory to Robert's rules, which the council has adopted. If you wish to take up this matter tonight, the council, of course, could waive cloture. Since it's already listed on the agenda, it certainly would not be a surprise. And if you did that, it would take a 2/3 vote. The alternative could be that you just wait until the next council meeting and you put it back on the agenda. That, of course, raises a question as to whether or not what procedure you should use going forward, since in the past, for a long, long time, you have just tabled, once something is tabled, if you weren't ready to consider it, you just left it on the table. A couple of possibilities. One, the council could pass a rule overruling Robert's rules in that regard, so they could continue with the same practice that it has used for many years. Or it could, rather than laying something on the table, when there's a matter on the agenda that you do not wish to consider it that night, you could just postpone it to a date certain. For example, the following council meeting. And then when the following council meeting comes up, you could consider it. If you still weren't ready to, you could postpone it to the meeting following that. That, in essence, is the way Waterville operates across the river. Nothing has ever been laid on the table. It's always been a matter of postponing to a date certain. So you have two ways of dealing with the Charter Amendment Committee. You could tonight move to waive cloture so that you could consider it, or you could just wait until the next council meeting and a councilor could put it back on the agenda and you would be able to consider it then. This is not considered to be a matter that has been decided by the council so that it could not be brought up again for 1 year. That requires the council actually to vote on it. This is just a procedural matter which means that it expires, but the council, of course, has taken no action voting on it. So, there are a couple possibilities, and it's really up to the council how it wishes to proceed.
Anybody want to discuss it?
No, go ahead, Lee.
Lee, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may, through the chair, I mean, we took the time and effort to put it out there to create the charter committee, and then we had many people, including myself, that filled out applications to be on this committee. And I feel like where the charter is currently sitting, it's really vague to a lot of things, especially the rules and regulations we run by for the council as a whole. And I really feel that in light of things that have happened in the past, that I think we really need to get that committee, going and discuss these things and set some guidelines and regulations for some of the basic things that are basically have no implications of any kind. I think it's very vague as far as the what the sitting councilors, as far as them, if they were to do anything wrong, other than the two factors that are clearly listed now are way too vague, and I feel like councilors could take advantage of that situation. And I just feel like there needs to be a little more insight, a little more checks and balance as far as where we go as a town going forward.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Dale.
I would suggest we put it on the next council meeting agenda and go full bore with it, because to be honest with you, I think I've forgotten half the names. And even if we wanted to put applications out again, to be in meetings on a Monday, Wednesday before. I think everybody's forgotten about this. And tonight's agenda, we'll be here till midnight anyway.
Are you finished?
Yeah.
I don't think we were talking about removing it or not doing it. It's just that through Robert's rules, if it's been there, which is almost 4 months, it's dead. So I think what Bill said is we can all decide just to put it on the agenda, but I think you gotta take it off the table first, don't you? How do you do that if it's dead?
Well, we've never come across this before, because we've had stuff that's been tabled for 6 months, for a
Right.
year.
And
Bill, do we take it off the table first and then postpone it till next meeting?
No, it's already off the table. It's expired. It's not, it's like it doesn't exist.
So
Under the current rules we have, it has expired.
So we have to put it on the agenda, starting from the beginning,
Or,
like we did before, like it was first on the agenda months ago, and put that back on the agenda for next,
Put it back on the agenda for the next council meeting.
Yeah.
Or the council could, if it wishes, could waive closure and get it back on the agenda right now. You could, and if you're concerned that since it's been a number of months, there may be some applicants who are no longer interested, that would give you the time to be able to check it out, because if you waive closure, it's back on the agenda, you could then move to postpone it till the next council meeting, and that would give you the time to see whether all those people who applied are still interested.
I agree. I move to motion it to the next town council meeting.
I'll second it.
discussion, which we just did.
is that okay,
Exactly
Joe?
was the motion?
To waive closure to the,
Okay.
To
No,
postpone, the motion was to postpone until the next meeting.
Correct.
There's nothing
It
to
already postponed to the next meeting if you do nothing. I don't know.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
So we don't have to do anything right now to get it on.
expired.
right, you just
As long
start
as
over
somebody
again.
puts it on the agenda.
agenda next
Somebody
week.
just has to sponsor it for the next meeting.
Okay, so that's what, so we do nothing tonight then and just.
Well, you
sponsor
take
for
it
the
off
next
here
meeting.
though, so we don't have to read it every meeting. It's no longer,
Correct.
it's
We're-
gone.
The only thing we have a charter review committee already set up. We just need to pick the members for that committee.
Correct.
That's the only thing we're doing the next agenda.
So
I can
somebody
reach out to
sponsor-
those people who have already applied, to see if they still want to continue to be on that committee. We can put it out again for more applicants if you want. And the idea was to have 7 members, I believe, and we were gonna do a paper ballot for each person to pick who they wanted on that, and we would count them up. I'm not sure if we should discuss how we're gonna do that.
I think right now we're just gonna stop discussing maybe only because it has to go next week or we're doing the discussion now. So can we just, it's gone. We just moved, now let's move on to vote. It's gonna go on the agenda next week, right?
Next.
I mean, sorry, next
the
month.
Next regular meeting.
Next meeting. You're the chair, there's no vote.
There's no vote.
There's no vote.
okay.
No, I know, but we keep discussing. I just want to stop now.
Okay, so am I all set to move on then?
You are.
Okay. So communications with MMA regarding the town manager's hiring process. He has already placed the ad for the town manager's position, and the deadline is end of February. So he'd like to reconvene then to go over anything that may need to be discussed. So he's not here this evening. And the majority of the council had gotten back to Tanya, and that agreed with that.
Through the chair, when in February? In the next meeting in February?
The ad goes to the end of February.
Thank you, Jason.
So we won't do anything until the ad has run its course.
Okay.
And people have applied.
No, thank you.
On to boards and committee appointments. We have an application from Heather Thorne. She wants to be on the Agriculture Committee.
I'll move that we appoint her to the committee.
I'll second. Discussion?
Dale Macklin,
Yes.
Fran Hudson,
Yes.
Doris LaBranch,
Yes.
Adam Lint,
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
and Mike Joseph.
Yes.
Motion to appoint Heather Thorne to the Agriculture Committee passes 7-0. Heather's here. If you could just come see me soon, we'll get you appointed, okay? Call me before you come, just in case. Presentation from Jason Fitch, who is our town sexton. I'm gonna have a, stand right at that podium for me.
Okay. So, 2 weeks ago, I got a phone call from Chris Bernier. He's with the Cub Scouts, local Cub Scouts, and the Cub Scouts want to do a project. They want to build wreath holders for the flags across, wreaths across America. Of course, they put up the wreaths in the cemeteries here. They want to build holders that will hold the flags also for all the veterans' graves. Didn't know if we really needed town permission from that part of it, but I'd like to get some approval for it so we can go forward with that. And then also, we have a section in McClintock Cemetery that I've gone through. Used to be an old road, can be turned into graves. They'd be cremation-only graves. I've got people that are interested in buying some of them already, but we do need town approval to make a map, put that out, and actually sell those grave plots. I would recommend probably a $200 price per lot. That would give the families enough room to bury up to 5 or 6 family members in that particular plot for cremations only. As you guys know, the town has no other places for burial. No place to sell lots at all. So this would give us an opportunity to start selling something at least. I figured it out, there's enough for about 30 plots there. Then, so that would be one thing that we'd need town approval for. And then also, I want to talk to the town about looking at purchasing some property for a cemetery expansion. We have a chance at McClintock Cemetery in Winslow, which is a town cemetery, to possibly buy the front part of the field from Leo Burgoyne. I've talked to him a couple times. Jeff West's been with me also to talk with him. But we didn't talk any prices. We just asked him if he'd be interested in selling us some land. It'd be a good opportunity for the town of Winslow to finally have a final resting place that the citizens could purchase in town. That would need, I guess I'm looking for approval for at least sitting down with Leo, maybe take Jeff with me because he's been involved in this process with me, to sit down and discuss purchasing that land, what it would cost us to get it, and then we could figure out everything else beyond that. But we need the permission to actually even start the process.
I have a question. How much land is that in front of that?
So we could get at least 2 acres there.
2 acres?
Yes. There's at least 2 acres. Haven't measured it all out completely, but we'd be talking a couple acres.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Through the chair. That would be something that would be sustainable for the town for a while afterwards. It's
Yeah.
for a few years, be able to
You would,
take care of
you would
everything.
have area there, I mean, rough estimate, 10 years worth of burials, minimum. For purchase. Depends on, obviously, it depends on,
a lot of things, absolutely, yeah.
I don't want to say, it depends on how many people, it's one of those things. You never really know. But I would say at least 10 years worth of selling plots in there.
Anybody have anything else?
Jason, do you have any documentation with you today for us to look at?
As far as,
Your proposal.
what do you mean for documentation? Well-
Maps, how this will impact the town?
No, because I need approval to even get started. it would involve talking with him first to be able to actually place a map also. You know, it's not, it's, you know, do you want me to make up maps already before we even get approval? So of course I don't have any of that. That's why I'm here, to try to get approval to even start this process.
So who's going to give them approval? Is it us
the
tonight
council.
as a straw poll? or
The council can
As
give
an
the
approval?
approval,
I mean, as a straw
to at least do the
poll?
legwork.
Right.
Inquiry-wise, anyway.
So should we just get
We
a straw poll?
talked to him Mr. Burgoyne, what, 3 years
Two-
ago?
2 or 3 years ago.
Back when we had the cemetery committee. And he's willing to talk, it's just, we've never gotten that far.
Well, let's go with.
Let's go with
give
the
them
talk.
permission, yeah.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's get the approval.
Now you have approval.
If
Okay?
I may, through the chair.
Go ahead, Lee.
Question, Jason.
Yep.
I know it's putting the cart before the horse, but do we have anything in writing, charter-wise or whatever, that basically lays out what the size of a plot would be if the town were to acquire land and the stipulations and whatnot
Yeah,
regarding that?
I can tell you that every cemetery is different. A plot for 3 full burials would be a 10 by 10 square. Then you can sell it off up to that. So you're talking 3 feet and 4 inches, basically, per burial spot. I like to go 42 inches rather than 40, because it just gives you a couple extra inches in between burial sites. You could do it multiple ways. You can sell them 10 by 10 plots. You can sell them as just one burial plot. And, you know, every place is different. Town of Skowhegan, for instance, of course, I'm their sexton also. They sell 42-inch lots, so you can choose to buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Howard Cemetery, I'm the sexton there. They're private, obviously. That's the only place in Winslow that has grave sites available, and it's private. So nothing to do with the town. But theirs, they sell three in a lot only, 10 by 10 areas. That's all you can buy there. So it's up to the rules that we want to write. I like the single burial plots because say your mother still lives in Winslow, she's the only one left, you live out of state, but she wanted to be buried in Winslow, you can buy just one plot, you're not wasting area. And that would be up to town council to review that once we get started on the mapping out of the cemetery also. If we are to expand that, I'd do a map up, and then we decide at that point how we would like to sell these off, and you could give approval for that part of it.
Thank you very much.
Will you be all set with your information for the next meeting?
It depends on how we can, it depends on how Leo takes to coming up with a price for that land. Of course, we'd have to purchase it. So if I can, as soon as I get approval from him, I can come up with a map, because I can do the measurements, I can come up with a map, a rough idea. Won't be set in complete, because I won't have time to do it all, but I could possibly have it ready for next meeting.
Or whenever you're ready?
Yep.
Just let us know.
So, the other thing, can we get, I don't think we need approval for the flag holders, but I would really like to get them going on their Cubs, on their.
There's no cost to the town on that?
There's no cost to the town at all. This project is gonna be done along with the VFW, because they do the Wreaths Across America with them. And between the VFW and the Boy Scouts, they're going to cover all the costs of the material that they need. And that's why we wanted approval, because they didn't wanna waste anything. You know, if somebody had an issue with it, we wanted to make sure that it would be okay through the town.
If I may, through the chair. Jason, these particular holders,
Yes,
will the Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, and VFW be responsible for laying them and picking them up when?
Yes,
And,
so this is something that they're gonna they're gonna leave up, they would like to leave up all the time. I'm already talking to them about placements up against the stones. You know, we don't want them away because of maintenance wise. And I will work with them on, I do the mowing, we do all the weed whacking, so I will work with them on placing them all also. There won't be any effort from the town at all, and they will maintain them also. They will hang the wreaths on them for the Wreaths Across America. And when the VFW puts out their flags for Memorial Day, they will put them in this holder. It'll be sitting on top of the holder rather than on the ground now. So we won't have to worry about all those getting blown away. We won't have to worry about them getting broken with weed whack, and they won't be in our way. This will be metal on the ground. We won't be breaking flags anymore either during our maintenance of the cemeteries. So it will actually make it a little bit easier on us for maintenance wise,
Okay,
dealing with all the flags and wreaths.
all right, thank you.
So you're looking for three things tonight, Jason, the Boy Scouts,
Yes,
the cemetery expansion,
yes,
and the cremation lots in McClintock.
yes.
So I would suggest we give Jason permission to do all three of those, get the work started, and go.
I agree.
I agree.
Should we just raise hands?
Does $200 a lot, is that a price that you guys can agree on also? Because we do need that approval. We need a price approval from the town council for sure.
That's the
Don't we have
norm,
a
right?
policy on that?
No, that's
No.
pretty cheap, Jason.
It's cheap for
What's that?
small
That's
town.
pretty cheap.
It is cheap, but it's right on line with the town of Skowhegan. They're doing $200 a lot. Palmyra, which there too, they do $200 for a 10 by 10 lot for residents and $800 for a 10 by 10 lot for non-residents. So we're right in line with Skowhegan. And what Skowhegan does with that money is the cost of it, and I don't know, the cost of it is actually $20 for the lot and then $180 for perpetual care. Because as you know, perpetual care funds can actually collect interest and be carried over. It doesn't have to be used, doesn't go into general funds, and it's just to maintain cemeteries. And I would suggest that we do that to help offset the other costs that we have. I mean, we've got things coming up that really need to be addressed, like fencing. You know, we got a lot of fences that are broke up. We've had some other issues with the cemetery at Fort Hill. We had some stuff this year that we had to actually do there. That perpetual care money could help offset any of those costs later on. And you could keep it in its own fund and not have to use it up.
I think it's a good deal. I think we're good.
Through the chair.
Go ahead,
This
Howard.
is something we're gonna be able to make our money back, not make money off from it, but at least make the money that we invest into it back off from it, and then hopefully put money into a perpetual care to be able to take care of the cemeteries for the future.
Absolutely, and I can't give you those final numbers until I actually map it out and know how much land we can get from Leo. I can tell you right now, the area that I'm looking at right now that we already have, I figured it out, we can do 32 lots on that area. And at $200 a piece, that's, you know, $6,400 that we're gonna make off that one area. I won't say make off of it. It's $6,400 that we can put back into care of the cemeteries. You know, that's a nice fence around one of the cemeteries that doesn't have one, if we want to look at it that way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just while you're here, Jason,
Yep.
can you look into putting signs up for our cemeteries? I think there's only one cemetery in town that we own that has a sign.
Absolutely. So I get you on this one too. I've already talked to, I talked to Amanda McCaslin's father-in-law, and he's willing to get us some street signs that just have the name that we could put out at the ends. And he wants a lot in McClintock Cemetery. I think we can arrange something.
Sooner than later.
We may be able to get them for free, is what I'm saying. We'll give him a lot and get all the signs for the cemeteries.
Well, that can be done in conjunction with Paul, and just talk to, the street regular.
He can,
With a name.
he can order all that and make them up also. We wouldn't have any cost, so Paul wouldn't even have to do anything either. We could possibly get those signs right straight from him.
Okay.
We might need a pole, couple poles for those. Put it on my bill. So yes, Dale, I've already worked on that also. I just don't know how far, with stuff like that. Of course, we don't have a cemetery committee now. Of course, I do have Paul. Paul holds the budget for the cemeteries. I'm the sexton, so, there's certain things that I know need town approval. So it's just as easy for me to, like this here, asking permission for this here. Because even if I go to Paul, we still gotta do this. The signs, I really hadn't completely gone through yet because I wanted to make sure this first, so I could negotiate with Mr. McCaslin on those signs.
Do we need to vote on it?
No.
Show of hand on all three? All three requests? Everybody good? It's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Okay, on to a presentation from the fire department for firefighter of the year.
Good evening. We're going to do a couple presentations tonight. We have firefighter of the year and a award for a retiring firefighter. So the firefighter of the year award goes to Captain Adam Burgess on B shift. Adam has been an integral part for our firefighter 1 and 2 program that we just started. He set everything up. He always comes to work with a smile, tries to get things done. So this year he won that award. Adam, can you come up? There you go. Still smiling. Thank you. And then the second one is for Paul Doucette. Paul Doucette had 28 years of service to Winslow Fire Department, the community. He started in 1996 and he retired December 31st at midnight. Paul, could you please come on? So a little bit about Paul. Paul started as a firefighter, did all the necessary things to improve his craft, and then, as he put it, once he got older, he decided he just wanted to direct traffic, which I thought he was crazy, but yeah, you think it's fun, but yeah, I know. He does a great job, and he's going to be sadly missed. Paul, this is for you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, sir.
Okay, we have no tabled business this evening. On to old business.
You missed some stuff.
Manager's report.
Oh, sorry. You're right, I did. The town manager's report. Just moving
Okay,
along.
thanks, Audra. Winslow Council members and citizens of Oakland. To this date, we've held 3 union negotiating meetings with our police department. Everybody's been respectful. This is going to be a big push. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to pull this together before I leave, but we're going to try to make that happen. Paul Fonjami has been sitting in on the last one. He's going to be sitting in on the one this week, and hopefully we could get an easy transition. I've talked a lot about the bonds. A little update on the Sunset Heights bond. The $6 million bond for Sunset Heights has been approved, and we're currently finishing up the paperwork. The payment for this bond is going to be $299,000 a year for the first payment. And the first payment is going to be due in 2027. And the reason why we're doing it in 2027 is because we're going to have a school bond that's going to be paid off at that same time. So we're not going to see a tax increase because of that bond coming on board. And the whole goal is to keep the taxes flat. We're still working through the budget. We'll have it in the hands of our council members on the last day of the month as planned. One of my projects that I've had on deck was to begin a community-wide discussion about rebranding the town of Winslow. At this point, Winslow is known for its historic importance of Fort Halifax Park. I'm not trying to numb that down at all, but there's so much more to this town that should be pushed in front to showcase Winslow. Rebranding is a technique that is very effective for businesses and can be used to change public perception for communities. Something to think about for our future. Over the past year, Winslow's had 20 new homes built and 18 new businesses have opened and moved in. I know, Doris, you had questions on that, and I think they've helped you with that as well.
Thank you.
Since I've announced my retirement for public service, I've received overwhelming support from our public, our staff, and some of the council members. I've received hundreds of positive messages, cards, and thank yous from residents of Winslow and people from various towns around the state. The town of Winslow has a professional group of dedicated employees who have pushed through some tough times this past year. I mean, there's no question we've had some conflicts going on. Our town staff are second to none. We've tried to keep the politics out of our office, which has been difficult at times. I'm hoping that our council can work collectively to achieve the goal of making Winslow a town to be proud of. And I think you guys can do that. I've said before, and I'll say it again, and I know that there's people who struggle with this, but the purest form of municipal government is a town meeting form of government. This allows us citizens to be a legislative government and lets them make the major decisions. This works. I mean, there's comments that I've heard on this that Winslow's too big for that. I personally don't believe it, but it's something to consider. Respectfully, me.
Do I have any other department heads that would like to review their reports? No? Do I have a motion to approve all reports as presented?
So moved. Second.
Fran Hudson?
Yes.
Doris LaBranch?
Yes.
Adam Lind?
Yes.
Lee Trahan?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Mike Joseph?
Yes.
And Dale Macklin?
Yes.
Motion to approve all reports as presented passes 7-0. Okay, now we're on to old business. Ordinance number 12-2024, the town of Winslow to approve and adopt the attached changes to section 300-23 to 300-91 of the zoning ordinance by adding the underline and deleting the strike-through language in the attached documents.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, Doris LaBranch,
Yes.
Adam Lind,
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
Mike Joseph,
Yes.
Dale Macklin,
Yes.
and Fran Hudson.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. That closes another loop. That allows us to get our DECD portion finished up.
Okay, ordinance number 13-2024, the addition of 2-hour parking on the east side of Bay Street, running north from the intersection of Bay Street and Halifax Street for a distance of 100 feet.
So moved. I second it.
Any discussion?
Adam Lind,
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
Mike Joseph,
Yes.
Dale Macklin,
Yes.
Fran Hudson,
Yes.
and Doris LaBranch.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Okay, and this is the amended order number 24-24, An order providing for authorization for the town manager to sign a contract for $102,964 with the statewide Asbestos Removal Incorporated for asbestos abatement at the old Winslow Junior High.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
And I have a question, Paul. Paul, when we went over there today, we took a
Yes.
look at it. I mean, when would this abatement start? We have to clear that.
I'm
that
not
school
sure.
lot.
That's what I was gonna get together with Ella when we actually signed the contract with the gentleman. I know what I've been told. He wants to get in there sooner than later.
Yeah. And,
that was what I was gonna bring up, you know, as kind of,
yeah, and by just the town doing it, taking that stuff out of there, if we can't get rid of it, it's gonna take you were saying about a month to get 250-yard. and then
possibly.
some.
I mean, unfortunately, this time of the year, we're weather dependent. So, I mean, if the weather's good all week, we spend a week there, we get a lot done. If it snows every other day, then we're not there. But that was the issue I wanted to bring up to the council is if they want to get in there and do this abatement, there's a lot of stuff that needs to come out of that
Yeah.
building. And Council Joseph knows that. We went there today and
Is there any way that we could possibly offer it to the public? And probably all we do is take it out, and if they want it, take it.
we can
they'll-
try. I mean,
And then
I'm
the
just
rest
worried
of it,
about,
throw
I don't
into
want
the-
them in the building because you've been in the building.
There's a lot of stuff
It's
there.
not really safe.
No, it isn't. It's not.
There's
I
no
mean, we'd
heat,
have to
no
take it
lights.
out of the building for somebody to take a look at it and take it. But now, I was told that, that this community service applies to the kids, that are high school kids. They use community service as another thing that they can do as far as going to college. They use that. I wonder if we could get some of the kids to offer community service and help with that. Would that be a problem, or is there something problem with the insurance?
It would be a liability issue, but we can open that conversation up with Peter Tipitot.
Yeah.
Find out where he is on that.
Yeah, I think, try to find something to get rid of that stuff.
Oh, I
because
agree.
it's-
That's why I wanted to bring it up. I mean, there's a lot of decent stuff in there, but
Oh
we just
my
don't have
God.
room to store it.
Yeah,
And
there's, I
if we
mean,
need to clear it. They need to do the asbestos tiles or whatever. Those rooms need to be cleared. And
yeah, because they'll never move that stuff and get the
well, if they do
asbestos
it, they're gonna
done.
charge us for it. So,
And that'd be a lot. I think it'd be a lot more than throwing the stuff away.
right. So,
Okay, Paul.
It's just something I wanted the council to be aware of. Is that
Yeah,
we're kind of at the 11th hour, and I've kind of gotten involved, even though it's not really a public works thing, but somebody had to do something. We sorted a lot of it out, and I think Martin's is gonna come back and look at some stuff, but they're only gonna cherry pick the good stuff.
right. Now, you said you had somebody that might be interested in removing that, and of course, the cost would reflect that.
Well, I know when we had talked about the asbestos, talking with Craig Wilson, I mean, these guys that are doing the asbestos abatement, they'll move it, but they'll charge us $50 an hour or something just to
Yeah.
move the stuff around, so that contract gets expensive really fast. And all they're gonna do is probably move it from one room to the other, but it's still there.
There's a lot of it. Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to bring up as part of this item, so you guys are aware.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Through the chair, Fran.
Yes.
I want to thank Paul for taking a lead on that. He stepped up to the plate and pulled this together. I wasn't aware there was so much material and so many things in that building either. And I haven't been in to take a look at it. One thing we didn't discuss is where we're going to take this $102,000 from to pay for the asbestos abatement. We've got about $6.3 million in our fund balance right now. I'd recommend just pulling it out of there, but I'm going to need to have a vote on that to make that happen.
Do you need it tonight? You want it tonight?
Well, we're going to have to do up probably an ordinance or an order to go and make that happen. So we're going to have that on deck for you for the next time. So I just want to have some foresight on where I'm going to pull that money from.
That'd be the most.
What's that?
That'd be the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
We all set?
I think we're all good.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
Mike Joseph,
Yes.
Neil Macklin,
Yes.
Fran Hudson,
Yes.
Doris LeBranch.
Yes.
And Adam Lind.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. On to new business. Ordinance number 1-2025 to repeal the Winslow Public Safety Department, adopted November 21st, 2022, by ordinance number 19-2022.
I guess I'm going to take the lead, right?
I need a first and a second. Do I have,
I motion to repeal the Winslow Public Safety
I'll
Department.
second it.
thank you.
I'm the one that sponsored this and bringing it up. It's not a secret that I've been against this since way before I ever became a council member. It's been 2 years. It had a 6-month trial period. It's been 2 years. The trainings were supposed to happen, cross trainings. I'm not going to tell you the exact number because I can't be positive, but I don't think it's been much more than 4 trainings. The staffing right now is critically low, has been critically low. It's getting a little bit better. My point is, I believe a fire department and a police department are 2 separate entities. They're very, very different. You all know that. To put them all together and mix them as one becomes problematic in a way that they don't have a police chief, they don't have a fire chief. The 2 most respected positions in those departments, they don't have them. You've got one public safety director. But what's happened is, since this program first started, 6 officers have left since the start of this. I'm not saying it's because of it. I'm giving you examples of what's happened in the 2 years since it started. 6 officers have left since the start of the public safety. They were all blue-pinned, which means they were all police officers ready to work, ready to be cops, ready to be law enforcement, all trained. There's 4 people hired currently. After the 6 left, there's been 4 that have been hired, 2 very, very recently. None of them have any police experience. So we lost 6. We gained 4, no experience in law enforcement. The fire department lost 8 firefighters. They hired all 4. All the 4 they hired back are all firefighters. They're all trained. So the overtime in the police department, they're working very short and have been since the implementation of this program. The overtime has been extremely high. And yes, it is budgeted. And it may not seem in comparison that bad compared to the fire department right now, but it is. The fire department has 9 bodies. I think the police department's overtime, you're looking at like 4. So the overtime could be close between the 2 departments, but actually the police's, if you see number to number, is much higher. So you're not saving money with this department because you're paying a lot in overtime. You're paying a lot in safety. You're paying a lot for the benefit of the officers and firefighters who aren't working with the staff they should to be safe and give us the best that they can give. I also received word from the public safety director himself, just a short, maybe 6 weeks ago, stating he felt it was time to dismantle. It wasn't needed. We also just all recently got emails stating the same thing, that the fire and the police department didn't feel it mattered either way whether or not they have this public safety department, because they feel it's running separate anyway. There's been no change since they called it a public safety department. They wanted to get grants. That was the push when they started this. There are no grants in the state of Maine for public safety. There are none. So they couldn't do it even if they wanted to. So you can get your grants for the police department, you can get your grants for the fire department, but there's no grants for a public safety department. I want to say that I spoke to a Gardner battalion chief when they had this way back in the 80s when they tried it, and it failed, and they reverted back to the traditional. I also spoke to the program that I believe Winslow was basing this on, which was Old Town Fire Department. They started theirs, and I spoke to that chief this morning, And they have since May of this year, dismantled their public safety department because it wasn't working. What you do is you start to lose instead of gaining. So I don't think that they've proved to show any gain with the public safety department. You did save one thing, you didn't pay for a fire chief. In the beginning, that was it. We don't have to hire a fire chief, we'll save that money. But you've made that up more than fire chiefs pay in the overtime that's accumulated over the last 2 years in those departments from short staff. The fire chief in Old Town spoke to me and said, for the same reasons that I'm trying to push this, they wanted and felt there was no need for it, and no need for a public safety, and they wanted to get back to the traditional fire department, police department, fire chief, police chief. The other thing that's been going around is I'm not looking to remove bodies we don't have. My intention would be, or my suggestion and hope would be, to remove the public safety department as a department. The public safety director slide right back to being the police chief. The deputies that are in both departments, keep them right where they are. It's not costing any more money to keep them, so why would you get rid of them? We can look at later on about a fire chief, whether we move in-house, we hire out, we can talk about that. But right now, I think it's very, very important to put tradition back and get these people what they need to do the job in the safest manner they can. So I guess I would, that's all I have.
If I may, through the chair.
Certainly.
Based on everything that you just laid out, Fran, and based on what I've been hearing, seeing, talk to others, is the plan to dismantle the public safety department really won't have any bearing on cost savings, and we may lose valuable police or fire members going back to the way things were. Speaking with the public safety director just recently, he told me that morale is good and probably better than it has been in years. And I just feel like, I mean, we're saving money that you clearly laid out, and I just don't see dismantling the public safety department will have any bearing on cutting down overtime that we're paying out now. And I just feel we should leave it the way it is, because it's saving the town money for that empty slot of the fire chief.
Through the chair? I'm sorry, are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Go ahead, Joe.
So first of all, OT is trending down in both departments, other than the police department's up a little bit right now at the halfway mark for this year. So in OT, whether you have the public safety department or you have individual departments, isn't gonna change anything. So I don't know where that came from. I'd like to hear from the gentlemen that run these departments on their feelings on this matter.
Yes, Jeff.
I'd like your opinions on from the three, what your opinions are on dismantling or keeping the PSD.
Right now, I think the public safety department is.
Excuse me, could you speak into the microphone, please?
Right now, I do think it's working. 6 weeks ago, myself and the town manager had a discussion, and I think I spoke to quite a few of the councils at that point. We were talking about dismantling it, and the reason we brought that up was because the push right now for interfacility transfers, and I made it very clear to the town manager that, and councilors I talked to, was almost all of you, that I definitely believe interfacility transfers is something we're gonna need to do here, depending on how we approach it and what we do. It's got a lot of moving parts, and you need an expert to do that. And I'm definitely not an expert, and Mike will tell you he's not an expert. So when we move in facility transfers, I want to do it right. I don't want to sit up here and tell you guys stuff that's not true. So that's why we had talked about it, me and the town manager. But right now, the morale's good, everybody's getting along. I don't have any complaints at all. I think both these deputy chiefs are doing a great job. My concern is if you do dismantle it, my concern would be what we do with these two guys, because basically, you know, it's so hard to find fire and police today, and both of them have did a fantastic job. They're both tenured senior employees, and you just can't get the experience they have. So that's my concern. And like I've told you multiple times in meetings, we work for the wish of the council. So whatever way you guys decide to go, we'll work with you. But that's how I feel about it.
So, oops, I'm breaking things. When I started, it was quite the show when I first got here. There was a lot of hate back and forth to everybody on how it ran. I think we calmed it down. I put a lot of faith in the guys, put a lot of trust in my guys. They calmed down. I asked them point blank, and again, it's like the director said, it's not up to me. It's at the will of the council. Everything is going fine on my end, the way it is. However, it's at the will of the council to decide what you would like to do.
I guess I'd simply just echo what both Public Safety Director McDade and Deputy Chief Murphy has highlighted. Ultimately, it is up to the town. We're here for the town's best interest. I would just like to see some prudent, fact-driven investigation and maybe incorporate department heads in making the final determination whether public safety moves forward or gets dismantled. Quite frankly, I am concerned from my position and Deputy Chief Murphy's position if we eliminate the, public safety department. But again, we're here to support whatever you guys want to go, what direction you want to take. I'd just like to have it just evaluated thoroughly before we moved hastily. Because that was initially, as many of you recall, one of the biggest complaints about forming the public safety department was the fact that it was done hastily and without an adequate trial period. So now we've been moving forward a year and a half into it since it was officially adopted. There are no day-to-day problems with it. And I just hate to see another hasty decision on dismantling it without looking at all the facts first. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Why did you guys speak about dismantling it 6 weeks ago, and what changed from then till now to make you want to keep it?
I'm not going to speak for the town manager. She's here. I'll let her speak for herself. We would just, when you start a budget season, you look at everything. And that was one of the things we looked at. My personal reason was because I know interfacility transfers, there's multiple ways to do them. I'm not saying they make money or don't make money. I think they can make some money, but there's a lot of moving parts. It's very intricate, and I'm certainly not an expert. And if you can bring an expert in here, I'm not going to sit here and throw out data to you and try to throw numbers at you. It's been done before in the past, and I just want to make sure I'm honest with you up front. But other than that, there's been nothing wrong, but I just don't feel if you're going to move forward with facility transfers, you need someone who's an expert to do that. Or have someone come in and advise us. We could leave it, but that's, I'm just being honest with all of you. And I'll let her speak for her opinion.
Yeah, so Adam, this last fall, Letty and I were talking about it, and we know that we're going to be doing the interfacility transfers, and we just don't want to screw this thing up, and with Director McDade being majority police, he hasn't got the experience really to be running an effective ambulance service. Deputy Chief Murphy, the same way. So I just didn't want to risk putting this thing together and trying to make it happen and messing it up. And that's why, at that point, it was my recommendation to separate these and let the fire department handle that part of the equation. While I'm talking, I just want to speak to the overtime. Overtime is part of the equation, Fran. We just read in the paper where Maine State Police has paid $8.5 million in overtime. Overtime is less expensive than it is to have bodies because of the lack of benefits that you have with it. I don't like it any more than anybody else has, and we're not losing people because of the departments that we're running. We're losing people because, unfortunately, they're moving on, and this is the nature of the beast, and we've talked about this many, many times. But if we're going to do the interfacility transfers, I mean, I'm not going to be here, but personally, and this is against what a lot of people think, I think we should separate these two departments. That's my personal opinion, only because of the expertise that's going to be required to make it happen, and if it doesn't happen correctly, then the public safety director is going to take the hit, and I don't want that to happen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Through the chair. Lenny, I know you've been talking about this before and saying, you know, that Mike was doing a great job. Now, because of the transfers that we were talking about, moving on, I think that's the next subject. Do you think that if we dissolve this, and then would we have to probably get resumes from other fire departments, I should say fire chiefs, that would apply for this, that could possibly do that? Is that what you're recommending?
I'm not recommending, it's up to you what you do with the fire chief. I mean, I'm sure you'll have a fair hiring process. My personal opinion is I think Mike could be a fire chief. I think he's doing a great job. But it's up to you whether you go through a hiring committee or not. I think he'll tell you also he's not an expert. I know we've learned a lot, both of us. He's looked into it even deeper than I have. And the more I dig into it, the more I realize I don't know. And that's why originally we put a committee together with all the people that run ambulances, because I was trying to do a fact-finding thing. And Mike has spent some time, which we'll explain to you when we get into the interfacility and the discussion. He spent quite a bit of time talking to local departments that do this, and he's got some answers for you. But there's still, he'll tell you, there's still, everybody's learning on this because it's all new for all the fire departments.
Well, dissolving this is not going to be losing any positions. We don't plan on cutting anybody out. If that's what you're thinking. That's not what we plan on doing. We want to be able to keep you policemen as well as want to keep Mike. But we want to make sure that we have the proper information to do the transports, which is coming up. So I guess I'm asking you guys and asking the council here that if we do this and we dissolve this, do we need to vote and find out if we should put in for another chief or put an application? Mike could apply for it or have somebody. Mike, do you think you could do the job for transfers?
I'll be honest with you. I know I can.
You can.
I am learning quite a bit. I've been talking with a lot of people. I worked in the ambulance service for 14 years for Delta. I've done transfers. I've spoke to the hospitals. I've spoke with other chiefs and colleagues, and if they can do it, my thing is I've done it. So I've done a good job so far, and I don't plan on failing anytime soon.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Through the chair on that, it would be a kick in the backside for him not to have a crack at the fire chief's position.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I've worked with Mike long enough to know that he's very competent and he's competent, and I think he'd make a good person for it. The problem is taking on a new project like interfacility transfers, especially where we're at tier number 3 with Delta, Waterville, and us. That means we're going to get some of the junk. He's got to make this work. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, and it could be career ending or job ending here in the town of Winslow. So there's going to be an added responsibility for it. But if he's confident, then I would support him personally.
I'm just going to say we stick to talking about the public safety department right now, not hiring a fire chief or who we're hiring or not. Does anybody else have something they want to discuss?
Yes, through the chair. If I understood you correctly, if the public safety department is abolished, you're still going to keep the 2 deputy chiefs.
That's what I would want to do.
And then hire a fire chief, and Lenny will go back to police chief.
So now we're gonna add personnel at more cost.
Jeff,
Okay, gotcha.
Jeff, I'm not done yet. under that scenario, you're gonna be adding $125,000 to $150,000 to the budget for a fire chief. And that's what we were saying, that's why we went to the Public Safety Department, to save that expense. So initially, and I'm sure that especially if interfacility transfers goes through, there's gonna be a need for the two chiefs and the two deputy chiefs. There was a deputy fire chief before public safety even went in. So keeping that, you're adding $125,000 to $150,000 to the budget for a fire chief. That's a given. The overtime issues. We have budgeted this year for the police budget, overtime, $140,000. They've used $57,000 of that to date, 41%, halfway through the fiscal year.
5 months.
Not according to the latest,
Okay, I've got the same numbers here. Go
I've
ahead.
got
I'm
the
sorry,
ones
I
that-
shouldn't have interrupted. Go
the
ahead.
ones that are in the packet that Katie sent us out this month, that we just got. That's for the first 6 months of the fiscal year, Katie, or am I wrong? Or does it include December?
Yeah, so it starts July 1st, so we would be 6 months.
Yeah, but the report that you just gave us, that we just got, that includes the month of December.
Yes, that's
Okay.
from July 1st to December
Yeah,
31st.
July, August, September, October, November, December, 6 months. The fire department overtime budget for the year is $166,000. They've used 51%, that's 30% of the budget. I had Public Works in here too, but it doesn't make any difference with them for this discussion. If you look at the overtime information that Tanya sent out, fire department, fiscal year '23, used $205,000. That went down to $150,000 in '24. Projected that out over the entire year for this year, you're looking at 51 times 2, $102,000. The overtime budget for the fire department has gone down and down and down each of the 3 years the public safety department has been in effect. When Lenny came on, the fire department overtime account was way out of whack. It was at one time 150 over,
I can't remember.
over
the
budget,
exact-
something
I
like
can't remember
that.
the exact amount, it was quite a bit, that's when I
Yeah.
came in front of the council. We were gonna be at the end, I think, like 200,000 or more.
But if you look
over.
at those numbers, for the past 3 years, with 2 of that being in public safety, they're all going down, the use of overtime money, since Lenny's been there, and that was a priority of his when he got on the public safety job. You made the comment that a lot of people have left. Not enough staff. 6 officers have left. And without getting into the specifics of confidential personnel matters, I'm willing to say that if we went down this list that Tanya Oliver helped provided us, just about every single one of those left for a better paying job. Not because of Lenny, not because of Mike, not because of Randy, but because of money. And everybody was leaving for money. A lot of towns paid a lot of money to keep their offices. We couldn't afford it. We didn't pay 40 grand bonuses. What Lenny did with the police department anyway, he instituted the $1,500 retainer fee when the public safety department was formed. We also added, or increased the entry-level officers' pay, $5 an hour, as part of getting more staffing for police. Mike, you explained to us once the new work, it's probably not new now, but the work schedule that was changed for the firefighters.
Yeah, they
going
went,
to the 2-1-2-1.
yeah, they went from every other day, so they had a day on, 2 off, day on, 2 off. We went to the 56-hour work week.
And they love that work week.
And they love that work week.
And that work week was put in after the Public Safety Department was formed.
Correct.
And also, Mike, the comment you made, and I don't want to get into all the specifics. The comment you made about dissension, some dissension within the fire department and whatever, when you first got here. And that basically has disappeared now, hasn't it?
Correct.
Especially since public safety was formed.
Well, to be honest with you, yes, but I had a lot of hard work in that as well.
Yes, we
not just
understand
one.
that.
Right.
And you had a lot of hard work in it as deputy chief getting that together. And you were involved in the changing the work schedule. And Lenny
Correct.
didn't prevent you from doing any of that, did he?
Nope.
Lenny was all for it, wasn't he? To get these changes into the fire department.
Yeah, I had to prove,
Yeah.
I had to prove myself and my knowledge of that, yes.
Yes. Lenny, since you've been public safety director, have any grievances been filed by either fire or police?
No, we've had none.
And the probationary period for the public safety department started in January of 22. It's been
22.
for 2 years now.
Right.
And you haven't had one single grievance.
No, like, I give the credit to these gentlemen behind me. They did a great job. All the fighting has stopped, and I believe we have a real good group of people. It's just trying to keep them. I think the fire department is stabilized because of the new contract, and we're in the process right now of working on the police contract, and I hope that'll stabilize the police department.
Mike, on occasion, you've come before the council to explain cross-training programs that you instituted as part of the public safety director between police and fire.
So the cross trainings that we've done is, it's, to be honest with you, it's what most departments do. We go over the ambulances with them. But as far as cross training, they're not trained to put on SCBAs or turnout gear or anything like that. It's pretty much equipment,
But there's more of
CPR.
that interaction taking place between police officers and firefighters on certain aspects of training.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry, I
Say that
didn't.
right. There are programs that you set up with Lenny through public safety to get the police department and the fire department working together on certain issues. We call it, I guess, cross-training or training.
Right,
is
and
what
what,
you called it.
yeah, what we did is what most departments do. We go over how they handle accident scenes, what we're expected, what we ask them on rescue calls. That wasn't happening in the beginning, but that happens a lot of places, a lot of times. That was a good area to cross-train.
And it's happened in our public safety department.
Our public safety department and area of towns as well.
Yeah. Public safety was put in when our Fire Chief Rodriguez resigned. We had a choice to make: hire a replacement fire chief or go with the public safety department. A lot of people accuse us of going too fast with it. But simply because we put it through, because we needed stability in that, doesn't mean that the effort wasn't there. And Lenny, I know you spent a lot of time, I know Erica spent a lot of time, and I know a lot of other people spent a lot of time on looking into this. So we looked at it as, first of all, it was saving the town that 125 to 150. 2 years now, it saved the town $300,000, 250 to 300. That was the initial prospect, if you want to call it that, of basically streamlining and consolidating town departments and whatever. Certain aspects of town departments. One other one we did, took effect last year, and whatever, was moving mowing into public works. Duplication of equipment. Men. And then we hired Carl. So we have made an attempt as a council in the past to streamline or or reorganize certain departments within town to save money. And those are two instances where we have done it, and where it has worked, and we have saved the town money on that. So, I think the facts are out there. I know they're out there, that the Public Safety Department has been a success. It's been 2 years. There's always gonna be growing pains in any business, in anything you change. But right now, the three top men in this town that know the most about it recommend it stays. And if not, it's gonna cost the town, the cost of a new fire chief. And Mike, certainly would apply for the job. Then we'll find a deputy chief. But that's gonna cost the town at least that $125,000 to $150,000 for something that is not broke. And it will get better and better as time goes on. Especially, we all know at one time the things that were going on in the fire department and the police department. There's been no secret. You don't hear about that stuff anymore, as Mike said. That stuff's gone. That's a thing of the past. And most of that has all happened since Public Safety was formed, Lenny was deputy director, Mike was moved into deputy chief, and Randy was moved into deputy chief, police chief. And I don't think either one of you, I hope not anyway, but certainly, if I'm wrong, correct me, can stand there and say that Lenny has held you back on doing any of your job responsibilities. And he's encouraged you in every way to improve the departments and improve your own knowledge and improve your own abilities on the jobs that you're doing. He hasn't held you back at all, has he, guys?
No.
No. So it's not broke. We don't need to fix it.
Can I say something?
Yes, you sure can.
Okay. When I went to the town's website and I looked at the safety page, the only thing on there is a video from January 2023. I don't see any meetings being held. I don't see any agendas, any minutes. I don't see any accomplishments listed, any goals, any plans. I don't see anything for documentation as what was actually accomplished. What is the mission? What's the objective? I don't see anything on our website to justify keeping this program. The only thing you're asking of us is to have a fire chief and a police chief. No one's going to lose their job, correct?
No.
Things will remain as the same. Okay. So can you just clarify for me your day-to-day activities in the safety department, what that involves, what it looks like for the public?
When we started the Public Safety Department, we were doing it as an experiment for 6 months, and that's when we were doing all the reports. Once it took effect.
What kind of reports?
We were just basically getting together and having meetings and seeing whether it was working and what direction we wanted to go in.
Okay, I just didn't see anything on the website.
Right. Now, we're not doing that, because our job is police and fire department, we're public safety, so we concentrate now more on the daily activities, what needs to be done. I concentrate on the long-term planning, on the budget, on money things, and Mike runs the fire department daily operations, and Randy runs the police department daily operations, and we all work together. I mean, if there's something, so. but
I'm just looking for documentation to justify keeping it.
Yeah, I can't say we train together, but we don't have documentation that says on a monthly basis what we're doing, other than we do our monthly reports to the counselors. Yeah.
Just real quick to the chair, if I may, in response to.
I'd like to speak first. If
Pardon?
that's, no, go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just something real quick, Doris, all of the monthly reports that.
You speak in the microphone.
And if other departments want to.
Dale, can you pull your mic to you?
Give their report, like Ella does. They have reports every month, police and fire, in our packets, every
Yeah,
single
I've
month.
looked at them and some of them
And-
I have some concerns
And that's where you're
with.
gonna get the information on what happened that month, what they did that month, and they're more detailed than they can tell you here. But they're all, that's in our packet on a monthly basis, with the chats, with the information, number of calls, days of time of days and all that stuff.
I just feel that we can still meet the needs of the community by keeping a fire chief and a police chief and meet everyone's needs.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
If we want to move forward with the interfacility transfers, your recommendation is that we don't have somebody that was capable of doing that at this time. But then Mike Murphy said that feels he's more than adequate for that position and would give it 110%. So if we need to remove the public safety to be able to get to the transfers, then that's part of that aspect. If he can't do his job from being where he is, and like Ellis said, if we want to do the transfers, then we need to have a fire chief and a police chief. And we're going to have to hire somebody, like you said, if it stays the way it is, if we want to keep doing the inter-facility transfers, we need to hire an expert to come in and educate everybody. So that's going to be another cost when you already have somebody that feels that they're adequate and educated enough to be able to take it and run with it.
And that's where it's totally up to you and the council what you decide to do.
Well, that was kind of my whole point about the public safety director. He takes care of the day-to-day administrative stuff, which would free Mike up to do his EMS stuff. That if you take Mike, or you take away the public safety director, now you have to have one person specifically to do the day-to-day administrative stuff for the fire department. Then, now we're gonna go spend another $150,000 to hire somebody to worry about the ambulance stuff. I guess it just makes no sense to me. Because you've got your police chief and fire chief, a lot of the administrative duties that a police chief and fire chief normally do are being done by the public safety director. So that frees up those two individuals at the head of each department to deal with the day-to-day operations. That's the whole purpose behind it.
You done?
I'm done.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have something through the chair. You're right, we spent more money per hour for a police chief. We brought it up, but the base pay is what, $30 an hour, right?
To start, yeah, it's
Right now.
$30.44.
And I'm sure the union's negotiating, so they're gonna have to bump up the people that's been there the longest. And we saying, well, we've lost a lot of policemen. I have a problem with just one policeman that just left not too long ago. He's been here, I think, what, 10, 12 years?
Yeah, it was over
And-
10.
Yeah, and he went to Waterville,
Right.
and he's making less money there.
I'm not sure of his money.
Yes, he is. He's
told-
making less.
So I don't know why that happened.
What, I can tell you what he told us the reason.
Yeah.
We do exit interviews with all the employees. He
Yeah.
told us very clearly that it was gonna be close to the same amount of money, and his wife was pregnant with a second child, and she wanted him to be at home at nighttime. So he was given a day job. We couldn't give him a day job here because he was a nighttime sergeant.
Okay, so we bumped it up to $5. I voted
Yeah.
for the going up on it. And I thought probably it would attract more people at Blue Pen, police officer come in, but we haven't had any.
There's none out there, Mike. To be honest with you, I don't know how to put it. You can talk to any police chief in the state of Maine.
Well, I know
There's no
Waterville.
blue pens. Well,
I know
they're-
Waterville has hired several of them,
And
and
that's
of course
'cause
they
they-
got one of ours
They
besides.
raised up their pay quite a bit. That's what we're hoping is gonna happen when we finish this contract, just like with the fire department. We're at full staff in the fire department. We have a really good contract there, which just started. And we were really good 3 years ago. We were at full staff when the contract for the police department went through 3 years ago. We were the highest, we weren't the highest paid in this area, but we were pretty close. And we filled all our ranks up, and then as time went on, other departments, their contracts came up, and they basically went up more than we did, and they started, there's just not enough people for everybody to have everybody filled all the time.
I have a question for you, Mike. On the transfers, you've done all that work on that, haven't you?
I have.
And as far as having another a fire chief right now, I can see that we can probably dissolve this and have you as a chief right now and see how this works out without having to hire somebody else as a fire chief, and you stand into that. Would you be?
I would stand into that. The thing of it is everybody makes, and this is gonna hurt some feelings abroad and in this room, but interfacility transfers is not rocket scientist, okay? It's not. What you do is, my plan is to start slow
I'm
and
so
see how it works
sorry.
out.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We need to stick to
Okay.
this
Okay.
and then
Okay,
move
I'm
on
sorry.
to the next one, because this
But
is
it's-
dragging out long enough.
Yeah,
So the
yes,
only
I can do,
question-
to answer your question, yes, I can do the job,
Okay, that's all I need to ask.
100%.
Anybody else? I would like to end the discussion, so I'm just making sure everybody speaks before I do.
Yeah, Mike, you said you could do the fire chief's job, and I don't think anybody disagrees with that. And again, I just want to add this just once. If you add interfacility transfers to a police chief's job, you're still gonna need a deputy chief.
I disagree.
You're gonna do all of that work. All of it,
I think he's doing it.
without a deputy chief. When there was a need for a deputy chief before public safety was even full.
Again, I'm going to ask that we just stop with the interfacility and the hiring process, and let's just speak about this part. Then we're
Okay,
going to do
so
that
this-
right after.
To end it, we have towns that are our size with just a fire chief, and they're handling it just well, doing what they're doing.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to try to end this debate. I'm going to, again, you can argue why officers left. They can say it's for money, they can say because their wife was pregnant. We don't know why they left. They know why they left. You can't tell us it isn't because it was a public safety, because they wouldn't tell you that anyway if they were looking for a job somewhere else. And that exit interview you speak about actually follows them, I'm sure. So they're going to be very careful in what they say. It's not about why they left. The point is, they left. Not just one, not just two, but 6, 8, and we've never hired back the ones we've lost. They have never had, when this first started, I asked them before they approved starting this safety department, what's the criteria for the 6 months trial? What's the benchmarks for the 6 months trial? Do you know what they told me? There are none. So how do you figure out if it's going to work if you don't even have a benchmark or criteria to meet or fail? So that's never been done. And to this day, we had a meeting 6 months ago on whether or not to continue forward. So this isn't new. We have thought about this. We all spoke about this 6 months ago. We said we'd give it 6 more months. We have. I don't see anything different from 6 months ago till now. And you can also argue the overtime. You're never going to tell me that when you're working 4 people short, you're not making a lot, there's a lot more overtime. There's a lot more overtime, so you can't even argue that. You don't have to be an Einstein to figure that out. Secondly, there's no changes. If everybody keeps their position, whether you say public safety department or police department, fire department, it's all going to be doing the same. Mike's still going to do fire. Randy, you're still going to do police. You're going to be a chief. Everything stays the same. The people of Winslow are being served the same. It's just not called a public safety department. The cost of hiring a fire chief could be as simple as, let's just say, hypothetically, Mike moves in. He's not getting $150,000 more dollars. He's going to get, what, maybe $20,000 more than what he makes now. So you're talking about money, and you're trying to sell something that we don't even know if that's true. Do you need a public safety director in the fire department? Mike will know that. Won't he know best? And if we do, we can figure out that later. It doesn't have to come out right now. There's no urgent need to do it right now. But to say it's going to cost $150,000 if you got to hire another person, that's not true. You just move someone up, give them a little more money.
It is true, because you said
You're
you wanted to go
interrupting
back
me,
to
and
the
I'm
old way.
speaking. I'm speaking now. I've got the floor. I've got the
You
floor.
said you wanted to go back
I've
to
got
the old way of
floor.
2 and
Point of
2.
order. I've got the floor.
So there's the 100
Jeff, I'm going to
point of
ask
order.
very nicely that you stop. I
Stop
sat.
talking double time. God.
Point of order.
So again, I'm sorry, I apologize for this. I certainly didn't want to start out with a circus-type atmosphere. I'm going to end discussion unless I'm sorry, did you have something else you wanted to say, Randy?
With your consent, I'd just like to add something. We as police, we're continually getting punched in the head, getting black eyes with all the allegations of people leaving. So I'd just like to point out, like the most recent one you just mentioned, the most recent departure, it should be noted that he left here, became paid as a sergeant with a 12-year point in his career, taking a patrol position in Waterville, not a sergeant, not an equal position. And according to what he's told us, he didn't get hurt financially. The disparity, you guys did a wonderful thing bringing up the starting salary, which also, thanks to you, Fran, we got some applicants based on your word of mouth. However, the facts remain that they still have to meet all expectations to be even accepted into the police academy. Number one being physical fitness test. Probably we have a washout rate of maybe upwards of 70, 75% right there. People can't go past the physical fitness test. If you can't pass that, you can't even become a reserve officer now. So, and you know, people leave for a myriad of reasons. You mentioned contract. You know, yes, we are high starting now, but the problem is everything in the middle, we're by far exceeded by Waterville, which is our closest competitor. But the contract negotiations will hopefully bring that up. But that's why we can't attract blue pins, because they're not going to come here at a lower rate. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Again, I'm just going to end it on, I'm not asking or saying someone's not doing their job correctly. I'm not wanting to fire people. It's a simple, simple, simple thing. Simply just revert back to the tradition. When I'm a brand-new firefighter, right out of firefighter school, I'm sorry, I don't know what it is, and I want to apply for a job, and I see public safety department or fire department, I don't care how you cut it, I'm going to the fire department. Same with a police officer. Brand-new police officer out of the academy, you want to go work for a police department or a public safety department? You can say it is whatever it is. I'm going to the police department. I want to climb that ladder. I want to become a police chief or a fire chief. There is none. So that ladder stops short of everywhere else. Why wouldn't they go somewhere else? Doesn't matter. I can't prove that they did it for that reason. But I'm done at the end of the discussion, and I say we need to take a vote.
Could I just add one thing, Fran, very briefly? The fictitious overtime numbers are what Tanya gave us at your request. In black and white, they're going down,
I know, I've
down,
got them
down.
here too, Dale.
Yeah,
I've got them the same ones.
Down, 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 down the last 3 years.
That's great.
Yeah.
We're good to vote? Let's move on.
Okay, Fran, you had asked for an amendment on that ordinance. Do I have a motion to amend?
Motion to amend.
You wanted to change the sponsorship from administration to your name?
The sponsorship was me when I asked you to put it on there to begin with.
Correct, but I had posted it. And
Oh, yes, could you please change
So we
it?
need to make that
Yes.
change.
Absolutely.
So do I have a second for that?
Second.
So I have a motion to amend ordinance number 1-2025 by changing the sponsorship from administration to Fran Hudson. Jeff West,
Yes.
Mike Joseph,
Yes.
Dale Macklin,
Yes.
Fran Hudson,
Yes.
Doris LeBranch,
Yes.
Adam Lind,
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Motion to amend passes 7-0.
I have a question.
We're in the middle of a vote. You'll have to wait.
I just wonder if the public has any input on this.
I think you can after we finish. We're voting. We're in the process of voting.
If the public wants to speak, it has to be during the discussion.
After we've already started the voting?
The discussion by the public.
Fine, go ahead. I'm
started
sorry. If you'd
before
speak up there.
public discussion.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you.
Well, my name's Kyle Price, I live at 147 Clinton Avenue, and I deliberately waited till this particular point to try to figure out if the public was going to have any input in this, and I know nobody wants this meeting to go on and on with maybe others that want to say some things, but it just seems like this is an important enough issue for the public to have a chance to weigh in on this, because we are the ones being served by this department. And I guess the piece I would add, and I don't have a lot of details since January of '22, but I was the school principal working with the previous fire chief on some pretty serious emergency plans that we would need for the kinds of things that you don't think can happen in your town, and then you go on the news and you see that things happen, and they do happen, and you say, geez, you know, it's great that they had this in place or they had that in place. What I can say is that there was some great planning going on with our fire chief, but it was pretty clear to me that we had a gap between what was going on in the police department. So when things were being planned out as far as school and what we needed at the school, there was not the coordination of services which I now see happening with your current structure. So I'll just leave it at that. Which means I think this current structure seems to have brought those two places, those two divisions together. There was dissension. There wasn't all agreement on what was going on. So we've made some progress here just based on the work that these people are now doing. I was concerned at the time because it seemed like a lot to put on our former police chief to try to take this all on. And I was worried about where their attention was going to be in terms of the public safety part. But it seems like they've gotten over that rough spot. They've gotten themselves into a groove. And just from my perspective as a citizen and former school administrator, it seems like it's now working.
I have something to say, Kyle, what you're saying. I think there's only one public safety department person in the state right now. Everything else that had the public safety has actually removed them. There's more right now. They've gone back to the fire and police where they had public safety department before. They moved away from it and they went back to a fire chief and a police chief. So
That is not a true statement, Mike.
Okay, are we going to move forward with a vote? Motion? Did we already do the motion? I'm a little,
We have a motion to approve ordinance number 1-2025 as amended. Do I have a first?
I motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
Jeff West,
No.
Mike Joseph,
yes.
John Macklin,
No.
Fran Hudson,
Yes.
Doris LeBranch,
Yes.
Adam Lint,
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
No.
Motion passes 4-3.
Just for a point of order, through the chair, just so the public knows, this is the first reading of the ordinance. We will have a second reading and a public hearing before the second reading at whenever it's scheduled. So at that time, you'll have 5 minutes to speak, and it'll be a second reading. That's required.
I have an amendment to resolution number 3-2025, confirming the designation of Paul Fonjami as administrative officer with the powers and duties of town manager, and will receive a stipend of $1,000 per week until the permanent manager has assumed the position and authorization for the council chair to sign the attached contract.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion?
I have a question. I have a question on where Jeff came up with the $1,000 a week.
Where I came up with it?
Yeah.
That's what Paul asked for.
Through the chair, I have a question with Paul. Are you going to have a hard time doing both of those things? I mean, how much time are you going to spend taking?
When I did it the last time, I usually start my morning at Public Works, and I would usually spend the rest of the day at the town office.
So you spend more time over the town office?
Pretty much.
Is your foreman can take care of the stuff that you have over there
If I
right
can get
now?
them going in the morning, usually we're good.
Because you lost one foreman, correct?
I have.
And they still can do it, they can still do
Yeah,
that?
just what it does, it puts me on call now, so. When you guys go home tonight, I might be out riding the roads, but it's part of the territory.
Yeah, I'm just worried, okay, we're putting 80 hours in, I can see, you get
No,
burned out.
usually, I mean, it's gonna be a little different if we get into the summer schedule, because we don't work Fridays. So like right now, you guys are, the town office is closed on Fridays, I still work Fridays, so
You still
we're
work.
putting in the hours, but. it's
So
not
right
gonna-
now,
it's
you
not
can
gonna be
do it with the
forever.
two foremans that you have there now?
I have one foreman right
You have
now.
one foreman, so you could do it with that, just one
Yeah.
foreman? Okay, thank you,
As long
Paul.
as we get them replaced before we get into the springtime and the mowing and, you know, the parks side of it, that's,
Okay,
that was
thank-
mostly his responsibility.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Audra, that item I checked with you about on the wording of that, did you check that out with Paul or?
Yeah, we just took out the word interim. He's going, so it will be the town hereby agrees to employ the interim town manager, and the interim town manager agrees to perform duties and functions set forth in the town charter for the position of town manager. And will perform any other legally permissible and proper duties and functions as the town council shall assign.
Do
So
we have
he's-
to amend the contract to that effect?
I did.
You did
I
already?
just put a line through that,
Okay.
one word interim,
Okay.
as long as Fran and Paul sign that later on this evening. Anything else?
No discussion, everybody's good with that contract?
Mike Joseph,
Yes?
Dale Macklin,
Yes.
Fran Hudson,
Yes.
Doris LeBranch,
Yes.
Adam Lint,
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
and Jeff West.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Resolution number 4-2025, providing for the appointment of the town clerk, Audra Fleury, as the registrar of voters commencing January 1st, 2025 through December 31st of 2026. This
So
is
moved.
just a requirement.
Second?
I have a question. Do you get sworn in for that? Do they swear you in for that?
Yes.
Where do you get sworn in?
Oh, Tanya will swear me in.
Oh, right at the office?
Yep.
Yep.
I'm sorry, was that Lee or Mike this second?
I did.
Dale Macklin,
Yes.
Fran Hudson,
Yes.
Doris LeBranch,
Yes.
Adam Lint,
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
and Mike Joseph.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Resolution number 5-2025, the chair of the town council to read all agenda items at the town council meeting.
Motion to have the chair read the agenda?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I may, through the chair. Personally, I've seen, since being on the council, years back, when the chair at the time read off the agenda items, I saw firsthand that depending on how the chair personally felt regarding the agenda item, I personally saw that you could tell pretty easily the way the chair felt about the item on the agenda based on their tone of voice or mannerisms regarding the item. And I feel that having Audra announce the items, it can really keep the council at bay as far as showing or inadvertently expressing their opinion one way or the other based on tone of voice or mannerisms to the town members, the town in general, on how they feel. And I just felt that the chair could inadvertently sway the opinion of the general public regarding a matter before it's even voted on.
Through the chair.
Adam, go ahead.
We all have a discussion afterwards, so everybody's opinions are pretty well out there when we discuss the item, so I'm not sure why reading would change that. As soon as you go into a discussion, somebody's going to tell you their opinion and their mindset and how they're going anyway. That's just my personal feelings.
Any more discussion? Go ahead.
Fran Hudson,
Yes.
Doris LaBranch,
Yes.
Adam Lent,
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
No.
Jeff West,
No.
Mike Joseph,
Yes.
and Dale Macklin.
No.
Motion passes 4-3.
Audra, even though I just got that, you're more than welcome to finish the agenda if you'd like. You've already gone more than halfway through. It's totally up to you.
Okay, well, we'll see what I can do. Discussion items. Katie is going to talk about budget workshops.
This is more of just a formality, because we discussed the special, I'm sorry, the regular council meetings during the last meeting and decided to go down to one. We realized after the fact that the April meeting, the first meeting, we were going to have the first reading, and what would have been the second regular meeting, we would have had the second reading of the budget. And so before I go ahead and post that schedule that I emailed to everybody, I just want to make sure that you're okay with holding a special meeting on April 28th. I just don't want to confuse everybody by posting that before discussing it first.
Yep, it's good.
What day does that fall on?
Monday, April 28th
At what time?
at 6 p.m.
Okay.
And that was all.
And that meeting will be televised, Katie? That's one of the ones that were televised, right?
Yes.
All the budget
And we already
meetings.
spoke with
Yeah.
Chad, and he's available.
Yeah.
And just so everyone's clear on this, can you just send us an email for the dates of the,
Sure.
okay? Because like you said, we canceled second meetings, it might be a little bit confusing.
Yeah, I don't think anything else changed, but I'll send it out.
Thank you.
Okay, Winslow Food Cupboard renting the Lithgow Library. That was on from last month. And I think they are back.
And Bruce and I were supposed to meet, and we haven't met. Bruce, do you want to come in and talk about that, or do you want to meet beforehand?
Be here if there's any questions. Just I know when we left the last meeting discussion about it, question one was with the town attorney to look at the deed. Was there any restricted access?
No.
When you had a chance to look at that?
No restricted access.
Okay.
We're all set on that.
Second question, is that building under historical registry of deeds?
Bill, did you find that when you looked at the deed? Is that a historical building? Is it registered?
That information does not appear when you check the,
Right.
when I checked the site. I was just checking on the deed. I was not checking on the, whether or not this is on the National Register. Somebody can check on that quite easily, I would think. The question to me was whether or not there was any restriction on being able to rent it to a for non-library purpose.
So just to kind of reiterate from the last meeting is I got an estimate of a heating system for $16,000. The question was brought up by the council for heat pumps. That was even worse. That was $18,000. I have a possibility of getting a free heating system through a volunteer by word of mouth, but then we would have the issue of paying for somebody to install a heating system. We're kind of at a wit's end right here because we're a nonprofit and we're feeding people and we're spending money on food to feed people. For us to come up with $10,000 or donations or anything of that nature to pay for a heating system for basically a building that we're going to use as a storage unit for yard sale items. We're not storing food inside there. It's to help us offset our costs to help pay for food. So I need guidance from the council. What is your intentions with the building? If we don't take or work out a plan, the building may sit vacant, and then that's going to be a cost on the town council and on the taxpayers. Just like we wouldn't expect you to pay $18,000 of taxpayer dollars to put a heating system in it, as compared to us as a nonprofit spending that money to put a heating system in it, when our initial thought was to just use it again as a yard sale facility, storage in the basement, open up once a week or once a month, depending on our availability with volunteers, to run a yard sale inside the building, so we're not using the church facility and adding more hours on our volunteers.
Through the chair. I have a question. You said you have a heating system that's being given to you?
Possibility, yes.
And what would be the cost in putting this type of heating system, and what type of heating system is it?
It would be the same with, as what's in there now, oil burner heating system. I do not, the people that have the heating system right now are down on vacation in Mexico. They had, it's a fairly good heating system. They just went on a natural gas alternative instead of an oil. So there's nothing wrong with the heating system. But the same token is, if we're gonna spend money to put a heating system in, and if we vacate the building or the contract, then I would expect to take that heating system back with me. I mean, if we acquired a building with no heating system, then what's my benefit to leave a heating system in the building?
Yeah, I get that. Do you have any idea what it would cost to have that installed?
The labor.
Well, the labor with Knowles Mechanical was $10,000.
For the installation alone?
Yeah, that was just the installation, which, by word of mouth and talking to other people that are in the type of business, that is ludicrous for $10,000. So we can pretty much get it cheaper, but we're all kind of at a standstill. What we're going to do? What does the town council want from us before I even pursue that avenue?
Do you want to buy the building for $1?
Yes.
We'd love to buy the building.
It's all yours?
We would buy the building. I don't know if that's in town council's agenda. We would buy the building from you.
I would suggest that the council discuss that at some point in time. That building is going to be a money pit for us.
I have
over
to
the
agree.
years.
Ella,
If
what
you-
was your
If you're
idea?
willing to take it over and put all the expenses in it yourself, well, you'd own the building.
Correct.
You'd own the building.
That's a lot difference putting, $20,000,
And I
$18,000
assume
into a
you-
building that we don't
I
own.
assume you intend to be around for a while.
Oh, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. And for the purposes of what you can use that building for, certainly provides enough or a lot of services for the citizens of this town and the surrounding area.
Yes. I mean, not that Winslow wants to be proud, but, we've given out 2.5
Yeah.
million pounds of food last year. We are number 2 in the state only by 38,000 pounds of food. We are well-known throughout this state, and it's Winslow Community Cupboard, and we're not gonna change the Winslow name.
Bill, what do we have to do to sell that for $1? Does that have to go out to bid or any of that stuff? I don't think it
Town
does
doesn't
it?
have a formal bidding process.
No.
You're given quite a bit of discretion when it comes to selling real property.
Ella, you have something you can weigh in on this?
The only, my only concern is, I almost think that the public should be involved in the discussion. That library's been owned by this town since it was built. And you may have some comments from the public. That way you can make, I think it's a great idea. It would help this organization if they're willing to take it over. But I think the public owns that building.
I agree. Go ahead, Adam.
What does that building get used for as it sits now?
Well, right now it's vacant, has no heating system in it. It's when you have a building that is not lived in or doesn't have people in it, it deteriorates very fast.
And we have no plans in the future of doing anything with it?
The
or
building
anything?
needs a lot of repair. Quite frankly, you go around and take a look at it, it needs some help. And if these guys are willing to step up and take that over and save the structure, then I say hallelujah.
Well, that, the flood. Through the chair. Audra, could you put it on the next agenda for council decision on whether to sell that building to these folks for $1?
A discussion or?
Ordinance, order or ordinance bill?
Order.
Order.
So that would mean a public hearing on it, so we can have some public comment.
Order doesn't need a public hearing, but we can have one anyway. Advertise for a public hearing
I think it.
and put it on for an order.
Adam.
I'll sponsor it.
I think you're right. I think it should go through the public for them to have comment.
And we'll have a public hearing on it.
We won't waive we'll go through with the whole thing.
Through the chair, Bill, by taking this public meeting, can we actually go forward on that day there and saying, yes, we're going to do it for $1, or do we have to go through another meeting?
Well, an order requires 2 readings on separate nights unless the council by 2/3 majority chooses to waive the second reading.
Sure that's a 2/3, Bill?
2/3 vote to waive the second reading.
To waive it.
Oh, yeah.
Can we do that tonight?
No.
We'd have to wait for the first meeting, right?
You don't have this on the agenda
No,
for
it's not.
it to be voted on, it's on just for discussion.
Okay.
And also, somebody ought to check the zoning on the situation for their proposed use and what the zoning is there. That's not something we've looked at,
That's your
at least not
responsibility.
something I looked at.
Yeah, you'll have to look into the zoning, make sure it satisfies your needs.
I'll talk with him tomorrow.
Okay. Well, thank you.
So that will be in order, Audra, for the next meeting with a public hearing.
Sorry, Al.
I'm sorry, what's that? Somebody, I'm so sorry, go ahead. You're gonna come up here, though, I'm sorry.
Ken McKenzie, China Road. What are we gonna do when another resident comes up and says, we'll give you 5,000 or 10,000 for the building?
Well, that's why I asked Bill the question. I guess we can have that discussion with the council, whether we put it out to bid or list it with a broker first. Yeah, well, I think Ken is right, that maybe somebody out there wants to pay more for it.
They may wanna pay $2.
You know, it's up to the council's decision, discretion. You know, we just know that it is gonna be an issue for the town if they keep going out and having to maintain if you don't find another tenant or how to work it out with the heating system. I mean, unless the town wants to spend money, put a heating system in and then lease it or, you know, so on, but it's gonna start costing the taxpayers if something's not resolved.
We hear you.
And thank you for the great work you do. I've been at that facility.
Absolutely.
You serve hundreds of people. You have over 70 volunteers, and they're 7 days a week. So thank you for the work that you do.
Yeah, thank you.
Very welcome, thank you.
Okay, the website, Doris wanted to
Oh,
discuss
yes.
the website.
I motion to promote local businesses on the Winslow town website. My objective is to promote Winslow local businesses by increasing their visibility through the town's website and fostering economic growth. Because inflation and the economy has so much uncertainty and straining local businesses, a thriving business boosts local jobs, revenues, and community vitality. And to utilize the town's website is a low-cost way to drive awareness and support of our businesses. I'd like to increase visibility and revenue for local businesses. I'd like to improve tax compliances, especially for some of the businesses that are behind on their taxes. I got a printout here of our local homepage, and as you can see in the bottom, there are some circular tiles. Right now, the tiles will say register your car, tax utility payments, and so forth. I envision our website having a tab at the top to promote every business in Winslow, and each tile would have a different business area. One would be for eating establishments, restaurants, another tab for financial institutions, another tab maybe for automotive, gas, and so forth. It's just an idea I have to help promote local businesses, especially now that the bridge is closed. The bridge may be closed, but I want people to know Winslow is still open for business, and I think it's a win-win for everyone.
Through the chair, Frank.
Go ahead.
That's illegal,
Why?
because it's illegal use of taxpayer funds. You cannot use taxpayer funds to promote private business. That's why there's no businesses on that webpage.
not even a listing? We won't even technically have to promote,
Can't
even
do it.
list the businesses that we have?
It's the same thing as if you wanted me to plow your driveway with the town truck. We couldn't do it. We can't use taxpayer funds for private business or private enterprise.
And through the chair,
Bill,
I'll
do you
add
have
to that,
any
if the town employees are adding that into the computer system now, we're taking town dollars and using that to promote personal and private businesses, so I can see where that could cause an issue.
We looked at that.
It's a great idea.
In the
No,
last,
it's a fantastic idea.
we looked at that in the town of Oakland, and we couldn't do it either.
Okay.
The idea holds merit, but we have to be very careful with that.
Okay, I certainly want to advocate for local businesses, and...
We all do.
Yeah, I definitely want to remind people that the bridge may be closed, but Winslow is open for business, so... Next?
Okay, ambulance transfers, Mike Joseph.
Yes, I'd like to start in with the ambulance transfers. Mike, you out there? Mike Murphy still out there?
You might have lost them.
Yeah, I think they left.
Yeah, they're gone.
They're gone. Well, with the transfers, I'd like to get that started as soon as possible. Mike was supposed to tell us that they got the stretcher and they got the chair lift that's necessary for it.
He's back.
He's back?
He's here.
Great.
He must have had to go for a cigarette.
Really nice outside right
Don't tell me it's snowing, then.
It's spitting.
That do I get?
Sorry, guys, I'm not dressed for the 74 degrees or 80 degrees that it is in. It was hot.
Okay, Mike, on the transfers.
Yes, sir.
You've got some information and what we need to do and to move forward with this, and we could, and now that the ambulance is in service and it's ready to go, tell us a little bit more on what you found and what you've had to do.
So one of the things that, the reason why I pushed this so hard is we put in for a grant through the Blue Ribbon Committee. And one of the things that we did put in there for was money set aside to start a trial program for interfacility transfers. At the remaining right now, I cannot touch 17 grand of it is for interfacility transfers. I have bought what I put in for the grant for supplies to upstaff that ambulance that didn't have a stretcher or stair chair and whatnot. I've been working really close with the local area chiefs, Everett Flannery out of Waterville, Steve Leach in Augusta, Dave Groda from Augusta Fire, Travis Leary is the chief of both Clinton and Fairfield. And so I've been working with them. I've got some numbers for you. I'll start at the lowest end first and kind of work my way up. So Clinton has done 46 trips. Oops, I take that back. I'm sorry.
Mike, can I stop you just for 1 second? So we don't lose too many people. Interfacility transfers, in case you guys don't understand what that is taking someone from one hospital to another, one hospital to a nursing home. So a facility to facility, not your 911 calls, but taking you, the biggest thing that's going on right now, I'm so sorry, with the hospitals nationwide, but certainly right here in Maine, is waiting for a bed. You go to the ER, you can't get into a room because you have no bed. It's because they can't get that patient out to go to Portland or out to go to a nursing home. Interfacility transfers helps the hospitals, helps the people, may help residents here who may need to go to Portland, Bangor, or a rehab facility. So that's what they're talking about when they say interfacility transfers.
So, the other thing is that, too, is it also will get town residents once we transport them to the hospital, but they're still weak to go by the wheelchair van. So a little backstory on that is wheelchair vans cannot lift. So they can take you home, but they still call us to come and pick them up the stairs, whether it's 2 or 3 flights of stairs or it's just 3 steps to get in the house. They're not allowed to lift. So why cut out the middleman? cut the middleman out, and I realized, like I said, it's to get Winslow residents back home. I hear it all the time where it can be either Delta, it can be Waterville, they will bring them back to Winslow. Well, why can't Winslow bring their own resident back home? The other thing is 100% correct. There is a lot of transfers that just sit at the hospital because they can't get anybody. And believe it or not, a lot of them are just basic runs. Either going to the mental health facilities for help, or if it's going to a nursing home, because believe me when I tell you, the nursing home wants their people back home as well as the hospital wants to get rid of them. So my plan is to start slow. We will not be using on-duty personnel because our per diem medics are paid to cover the town of Winslow. So what I would do is we have a program called I Am Responding. I would page it out and see if I had anybody available that's willing to come in and do the transfer. And that works for the area towns. Hence why I have their revenue reports. So I'm not looking to make bank, if you want to call it that. I'm not looking to steal anybody's money from anybody. I'm not looking to offset the budget, but what I am willing to do is assist the hospitals to get free and to take critical patients if I have staff to do it. There's a severe problem with EMS in the state of Maine, but all over the country, but it's really bad in the state of Maine. When you have, just an example, when you have Clinton Ambulance responding to Palermo because there's no ambulances available. Why? I can tell you why. The money is being made in transfers. So they will go. Skowhegan does not have, from what I understand, is they do not have a contract with the town to cover EMS. So if you live in the town of Skowhegan, as a transfer is going on, you have a medical emergency, you could be waiting for AMS, you could be waiting for Upper Kennebec Valley to come and take care of you. Because they're doing interfacility transfers because they're hospital-based. The reason why I keep hearing this, we're 1, 2, 3. The reason why Delta is number 1 is they're getting a subsidy to do interfacility transfers. And that's why they're called first. And then it goes to Waterville, and I've talked to the chiefs. They're too busy handling their own 911 calls to take it if they can. So where does that leave people? They just page it out. So correct. The information that I have, that it goes to Delta. So Maine General and Inland, it goes to Delta first, Waterville, and then it gets paged out. There is really no 1, 2, 3 other than the 1 and 2. Because 1, Waterville is their home city fire department and ambulance. And like again, the subsidy with the transfers. And this has been explained to me over and over by our medical director and even the Delta director. We have a very open and great relationship with all entities. And I've told them that we're not going after them. We're not looking to close anybody. We're not looking to do anybody any harm, just assist. But in order to do that, I need permission.
Mike, I have a question. You said
Yeah.
you have 17,000 out of that.
Yes.
And you can't touch it. For what reason? Is that for
Because
supplies?
it was put aside for transfers.
Okay, thank you. That was that grant that was...
That was the grant that was approved that I could get, yes.
Okay.
So we'll have a very methodical way of doing transfers. We're not just going to jump on this and start going all over the place. And a lot of them can be what they call either turf down, or if it needs a paramedic, you can do it with an AEMT if they don't have any meds running. I don't know how many times in the years in my ambulance service where they'll take people off a pump, dose them with medication, and then get to the hospital as quick as you can. Well, not as quick as you can, but safely as you can, as long as the patient's comfortable and they're stable. With that being said, like I said, it's going to be very methodically done. It isn't going to be done hastily by any means. because I don't want to be that person standing there and failing. I refuse to fail. I don't know if anybody knows me, but that's one of the things that I am, is I refuse to fail. So I got into what people were making for revenue. So, because that seems to be the biggest thing. Yes, does it make a ton of money? No. Does it make money? Yes. But not like what you're thinking. It's enough to cover your costs as small as we are. So, out of a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 calls for Clinton of the last year. They gross charges were $14,960. Their net payment, because you have to get what the insurance pays, right? You're not gonna, you can bill, it's what you're gonna get. So they charged $14,960. Their net payment was $6,470.58. Out of that, $1,500 plus or minus $100 according to their EMS captain, so they netted $4,970. On the medium size, as far as doing transfers, Waterville billed out, if I can read this right, again, sorry, I've been told multiple times is. Yeah, thank you. So, $58,325 was billed out. $31,994 was net revenue to the city of Waterville. Augusta's a little different. Augusta does a bunch of transfers because, again, in Augusta, if Delta is unavailable, they call Augusta Fire, and they have a super, very tight on how they do theirs. And that's what I plan on implementing with talking with Chief Groder and Chief Leach from Augusta. So they charged $171,215, which they made $82,504 for the year of 24. In 23. In 24, $85,252.74. And as of right now, for FY24 in total, they gross so $155,829.33 is what they gross for this year so far, and that's plus or minus because some of the bills haven't come back.
So through the chair, so Mike, what you're saying, this is gonna be self-sufficient. It's not gonna cost the people of Winslow money to run this. And also it's gonna be able to give us a service.
It'll be able to enhance our service to the town of Winslow.
Okay.
As far as we will, whatever we pay out in overtime or whatever it ends up being, we would obviously put money aside for capital as far as ambulance replacement. It would go back into the overtime budget, and we'd still be ahead a little bit.
And it stay with the fire department, is that correct? It
What's
stay
that?
right in with the fire department.
That is totally up to you, just like the ambulance revenue is now, right? I believe, does it go back in?
Goes back in the general fund.
General fund, okay. So it would go back into the general fund, however, you would be offsetting your costs because even the money coming back in, you're offsetting your overtime cost.
Okay.
And through the chair,
Go ahead, Adam.
if we do this service, we're actually getting people in and out of the hospitals faster, in theory, and we're gonna have a better chance of having somebody that's in cardiac or has some sort of major issue into a room, into a bed faster so that they could be treated and taken
Right.
care of.
And I wish I could have Dr. Pay up here because he can speak all about mortality rates and, what the actual time is. But for trauma patients, cardiac patient, it's the event, diagnosis, and then cold steel for surgery or whatever.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Lee.
Mike, my concern with this is, I'm not sure how, I know it's a little premature. If we do this, my concern would be any of our regular employee firefighters that have the training to do these transports, And don't get me wrong, I mean, it'd be a great opportunity for them to earn some extra funds on the side. But my concern is these overly worked employees now, they decide that, hey, they want to better their family, which they have every right to do so. My concern is the burnout rate and also these Winslow employees that choose to do this, the wear and tear it's gonna take on them to have them fully rested and refreshed when they come to do their daily job. My concern is, you know, what's that gonna do to the somewhat the morale and also the well-being of our full-time employees.
So with that being said, we have a very good program for burnout. You know what I mean? As far as talking, if they have issues, they'll come to me, we'll get them to help. We have, through Tanya, we have the EAT program, so they can come to that. But 90% of my guys all have second jobs somewhere else. And I really can't stop them. So I know there's a bunch of career firefighters that work for other departments that do per diem that would rather be in the town of Winslow instead of going to Clinton or Fairfield or other places. All my paramedics work somewhere else. And we make sure they're rested. And they take care of themselves. I mean, if they need help and I notice something, I talk to them. But as far as that goes, 90% of my full-time staff have separate jobs that do the same thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Through the chair, I'd like to add something. 2 years ago, we could have used that service. I wound up with a heart attack 2 years ago this month, and it took them 17 and a half hours to get me to Portland, and they had to get an ambulance from Mercy Hospital out of Bangor to pick me up to bring me there, and nothing else was available. Now, if we had the transfers, I could have been there sooner. I was fortunate enough, even though I had 5 bypasses, I was fortunate enough to live through it. But if we have the transfers and something like that happens to one of you in here, I'd like to see that that would be handy for us to use. That's all I'd say.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Was this gonna be just for Winslow residents only?
No.
everybody?
This will be for everybody at the, well, let me rephrase that. We're gonna start slow. We'll be doing this for Winslow residents and see what I get for people coming in. And we're gonna do it by an emergency basis. So in other words, if a toddler falls down the steps and they need to get to a trauma center and nobody's available, then yeah, maybe I will, more than likely, we will get somebody in to take that transfer.
Are you gonna limit the geographical area of this? Are we gonna be going to Portland, Boston?
Well,
Prescott?
we're not going to, so here's my thought on this whole thing. We will be going to the 3 major hospitals, Lewiston, Eastern Maine, and Bangor. Lewiston, Eastern Maine, and Portland. That's where your definitive care is, right? I mean, there's no sense of me, I'm not gonna do the, and excuse the phrase, but it is what it is, a site transfer from Thayer Hospital to Fort Kent. That seems to be the big one that's always open. It's right at the Canadian border. I've made the trip myself a couple of times as a driver. So has Jeff, who I see is laughing quite. So it would be to those for definitive care for, like I said, Lewiston, Bangor, and Portland. So the good thing about this is if I get permission for this, the good thing is if I take you in with chest pain and you're actually having an MI, there's nothing to say that they can triage you on my stretcher and send you to Portland. I don't even have to call anybody, or I can call a medic, and you can get there that fast. It's worked that way. I've done it. Where you walk in, they're having an active STEMI, they quickly do what they need to do there to stabilize them, and you're off to see the wizard. And if you've ever seen that surgery, it's fantastic. And to watch somebody walk out that was at the brink of death is amazing. But it's just to offer our capability, enhance our capability.
You mentioned Augusta and Waterville.
Mm-hmm.
Making fairly good money, I would guess, over and above their costs. But I'm gonna just guess that it's because of the size they are, that Waterville and Augusta, the ones who are doing the driving for these transfers, are on the city or town payroll.
Not all of them. So they have a very strict criteria on what goes on duty and what does not. And that is life and limb. 100% life and limb. It is not just because you've had an NSTEMI and you're going down because you're gonna get a procedure on Tuesday and you're leaving Friday. This is, if we can't find somebody to get you to definitive care, you're gonna die. That's the only time. They've actually got a policy written for that. The battalion chiefs go through it. And they make that decision.
The level of transfers, there's a level of them. Minor to serious. I'm assuming you've looked into the billing, how much each one is billed? You looked
Yes.
into that?
Yep, the basic and
The four levels.
the advanced, yep.
The more serious the transfer,
The more money you
the
make.
more money you make. Have you
Correct.
also looked into the Medicare allowable rates?
Correct. Which hopefully, according to everything I have, hopefully it's gonna be subsidized by this next round of money. So,
Which next
we'll
round
see.
of money?
I know.
Which next round of money?
So there is more money out there through, from what I understand, talking with the counselors. So I got sent to Unity for a meeting and spoke with I believe it was the Madam Speaker from Portland for the House of Representatives. It was her bill to sponsor it. And to quite honestly, she wasn't very impressed on how it was broken up.
No, there's gonna be.
Right.
Because as you said, Delta has been subsidized in the last year or so. Been a lot of money thrown at Delta to improve their performance, their availability.
Right.
You're probably gonna get some more of that from the state and the hospitals thrown at Delta. Is any of that gonna come our way?
So we just got $38,000. I mean, granted, we got 38, and I don't have it in front of me, and I apologize. But if you go back, you'll see the amount we've got. It was 38 something and change. And I have 17,000 of that to use right now to start this program.
Through the chair, do we have all the supplies on that vehicle?
Yep.
We do?
Yes.
So it's ready to
We
go?
have the chair, we have everything. So we have a third monitor that sits in the utility. We had a third ambulance. I mean, it just makes sense to put it on the ambulance.
Thank you.
Mike, no foreseen cost to the taxpayers to run this service.
As long as we can maintain a level of transfers that will pay for the time.
And you're only doing the transfers you want to do.
Correct.
You're only gonna do what you can.
Right.
So you're not gonna lose anything, because you're gonna
No.
pick and choose when to do them, right?
Correct. So right now, I can tell you, Clinton per diems, I work there as well. We get called all time of the night for transfers. Waterville gets called all through the night for transfers, just because they're just trying to get people out of the hospital and home. So, like I said, I mean, I wasn't trying to be mean or anything, but it's really not rocket science, you know. If you can do it methodically in a fiscally responsible way, it can be done. And it can be done with dignity and no money to the taxpayers.
Thank you, Mike.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
The reports that you read to us, Waterville, Clinton, whatever, can we get copies of those?
We can.
And
I
Have
only
you-
have one copy with me, but I can forward it to you.
And have you prepared a balance sheet statement for what you would propose the service is gonna be with incomes and Medicare allowable rates? And somehow in there, when you get those numbers, should be able to tell you how many transfers you're gonna have to do
Correct.
at each
And-
level.
And I have not done that yet
to be,
because I need permission to even start. I didn't want to put hours and hours into this thing if I was going to come up here and be like, nope, can't do it.
Well, I think it would be helpful if you would do that.
No,
for
and
each
I
one.
will, but I
And then
need
we know
Right.
that you've gotta do 10 transfers at number 3 level, or 2 at number 1 level, or whatever.
Right.
And then there's gonna be a point where, you're gonna know you have to do so many a month, 6 months.
Correct.
To break even.
Correct.
So
Okay.
you can prepare that for us?
I can.
All right.
That is not an issue. We had it once before, and I can pull that information back up and just add the new stats with it.
Do you have the Medicare BLS 1?
I do not with me.
Okay, I just didn't know if you had it.
So here was the whole point. The whole point was me to come up here, get permission to start a trial. Because I need your permission. And then I was gonna present you with everything before we even started. You'll get everything that you need or that you're asking for. But I needed that initial permission first to do it, because it didn't behoove me at all to put that much hours in it if I was just gonna get told no.
One other statistic, Mike.
Yeah.
Sherry has it, because she gave it to me once.
Correct.
Can you get the percentage from Sherry in regards to the ambulance? I'm
Yeah.
assuming inter-facility transfers will be about the same.
Mm-hmm.
The percentage of main care and Medicare payments, patients,
Yes.
that's gonna be somewhere 65% or so on
Right.
Medicare. Or
And the other
Can you
thing
get
that.
that updated number?
Yep, and the other thing that we're working on too is if you get into the network of the insurance providers, which is no cost to the town to enter that agreement, is they'll usually try to get you the most bang for your buck. The private insurances pay more than Medicare and Medicaid.
Yes, absolutely. And
So if you get in network with like Anthem Blue Cross, or you become a partner with them, the last time I checked, when I was doing this the first time and bringing this up, they try to get you 110% of what your money is. So they say.
that's what they say. Yes.
Correct.
The other issue is, as we have with ambulances, are we gonna have the policy, I guess this is a council decision, that we will not bill citizens for unpaid balances?
We already do.
Inter-facility
You guys already
transfers?
discussed that last time.
That was for the ambulances. That same thing gonna apply to interfacility transfers?
You usually get your money within the facility transfers,
Yeah,
at least
but
a good part of it.
In the event that
Right.
there is an unpaid balance,
So like I explained before, it's main law that once you bill the insurance,
yeah,
you have to bill them for their copay, and after 120 days, we do not go after them. However, if you're a person, then I have all legal right to go after you if you're a non-town, obviously if you're not a town resident.
Yeah.
Just like anybody else does, whether it be your doctor's office or the hospital itself.
But we're certainly hoping people are paying if they can, correct?
Yeah, I've had a couple of calls regarding that they were wondering about their bills, that they had a $300 bill because that was their copay, and they were wondering if we would write it off. And I explained them the law, like I explained before, that after 120 days, if they want to pay it, they pay it. If they don't, then we write it off if they're a town
But
resident.
you're expecting people to pay their bills.
Everybody
right?
expects people
Thank
to
you.
pay their
Yeah.
bills, right? It's gonna, at some point, it's still gonna affect your credit rating. Whether we go after them or not, it's gonna show the unpaid balance somewhere. So,
not if we don't go to collections, Mike.
yeah,
It won't show. And if it's a policy of
What's
this
that?
council that we will not go after unpaid balances to the taxpayers of this town,
right.
then the taxpayers of this town should be well informed that they do not have to pay an unpaid balance.
I thought it was the understanding that they wouldn't go after them if they couldn't pay their balance,
No.
not that they wouldn't pay their balance.
So, like I explained before, with the billing company, I have to bill them for 120 days per law. I think it was the pen again. And to be honest with you, there's only been a few that said no. Most everybody else wants to pay for the service that they received.
Well, I'm hearing different.
So can we put this on the agenda for next week? Is that what we need to do, Bill?
He's talking about
If council
transfers.
wishes to go forward with this, then you would put an agenda item regarding the interhospital transfers on the agenda.
Bill, did we figure out what language we were gonna use for that? Are you gonna put it, do we put it in as an order? It's an extended service to what's already there, so does it need an ordinance? Not an order, an ordinance?
Well, we started out with the ambulance service for Winslow residents as an order. This at least would be an amended order. Councilor Macklin raised an issue with me today as to the possibility that we might need to do this as an ordinance, and I told him I would take a look at that.
So that's what we need to know before we put it on the agenda, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You look into that for us, Bill, let us know.
So,
Yes. When is the next council meeting?
February.
Second Monday in February.
Okay, somebody was saying next week, that's why
Oh, maybe I missed it.
February 10th. Thank you, Kate.
Okay. We have time.
Yeah, February 10th.
Through the chair.
I just, so, talking about this, and I understand that you guys want to do an ordinance and whatnot, but I realize I need your permission, but the state license covers transfers. I'm already covered by Maine state law to do transfers through our town license. As a,
Can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
The only problem, I know where you're going with this, Mike, but the problem is if you end up getting into a crash and the council didn't approve this properly and you're down in Portland, then it could be a problem for us.
okay.
So you're gonna have to go through the
No,
appropriate.
and I'm not saying that I wouldn't. I'm just, there's been clarifications, well,
Right.
what's your license say?
Right.
And I have checked with Maine EMS and there is nothing.
We need to have council
Yep.
blessing to make this
Yep.
happen.
Through the
Thank you,
chair.
Mike.
Bill, go ahead, Bill.
May I add one thing?
Go ahead, sir.
We need clarification as to the extent of these transfers. Is the council agreed that this is just going to be Portland, Lewiston, and Bangor, and no other hospitals?
Portland.
Bill, with the licensing that Mike's talking about already, it's already licensed to take people wherever. It doesn't have destination. So the licensing for the ambulance service that we do right now for 911s includes doing transfers as well. It's all included in the licensing that you need to have a service.
But my question is, does the council wish to place restrictions on where these transfers can take place? Or is it whatever the fire department chooses to do?
Well, I think they don't want to go to
What the
Boston.
wording's going to be.
So,
Well, that was your answer, wasn't it, Mike?
Yeah, I'm not going-
You go to
I am-
Portland, Lewiston. and
right, I am going to the,
Waterman,
right. the
and
tra-
Bangor.
Right, would be the trauma centers, correct. So Portland may not accept you because their cardiac floor is full, you may be put to Eastern Maine. Or if you're a trauma patient, you may, if Bangor and Portland are busy, you may go to Central Maine. So that's why I made the clarifications. I have no preference as far as that go, but on the same token, I have no wants, needs, or desires to leave the state. So,
So where do we go from here?
So we're gonna draft up some paperwork.
Okay.
That's gonna kind of frame up what we just talked about. They'll have that presented to you at the next council meeting. And we really, really want to refrain from any transfers until we have your approval on that.
Okay.
correct.
Mike, thank you very much for your information.
And I will get that information as you requested.
Thank you.
And through the chair,
Go ahead, Adam.
do you need anything from us to move forward with drafting anything that Dale's asked for, or
No.
digging any deeper
No.
and doing more research, or is what we've
No.
talked about sufficient,
Just
showing you we're
sufficient.
gonna move forward?
No, I'm happy with it. I already
Okay.
have, so when this
Perfect.
came up a while ago, I already had the information. I just gotta tweak it a little.
He's got Sherry, the best
Perfect.
person in the state of Maine.
Actually, Whalen Cap did a lot of it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Through
did
the-
you, I hear.
Okay, on to property tax interest rates, Doris?
Through the chair, before we go to the next agenda item, I'd like to go back to the website discussion that I had.
Well, you can address it to, you got a question for Ella?
No, I don't have a question, I have a statement. My research, I know Ella said promoting businesses on our website was illegal. My research stated otherwise. Information that was just brought to me from a member of the public also
Bring it
states
in to me,
otherwise.
Doris. Bring it in so I can take a look at it.
Okay,
And
so,
I'll pass it by Bill.
I beg your pardon?
I said, and I'll pass it by Bill.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, good. Go ahead, Audra. My apologies.
No, you wanted to talk about property tax interest rates?
Yes, my motion is to decrease the property tax interest rates for individuals and businesses who are behind already on their taxes to 3%.
This is just a discussion,
Point of
so
order.
we can't do any voting on this.
Okay, can we
Point of order.
discuss how that would be my motion?
Go ahead, Dale.
That, as you know, that's a budget item that we discuss at budget time.
It's a
and the
discussion
whole
item
thing.
for her, so we're gonna let her
Right.
discuss it.
Ella's working on her budget, so I figured now's a great time to bring that up for discussion while she's working on the budget.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So you want to drop it down from, what is it now?
I thought it was 8%. Can you
No,
correct me?
no. Last year, we moved it to 6%.
Okay.
And we have a 2-week grace period, which we've never had. So basically, if somebody messes up and they don't pay their taxes on time, and they come in a week later, we normally would have charged them interest, but now we have a 2-week grace period. And this is what Fran and the council had decided last year. And the maximum is 8.5%. Most towns charge that. And the reason for that is to encourage property tax payment. If you get down too low, then what happens is people can invest their money in a bond and or whatever, and they can make more interest than paying the property taxes. And unfortunately for these communities and these towns, our lifeblood is property taxes. That's how we plow our snow.
Correct.
And we need to keep the property taxes coming in. And so it's more of an encouragement thing.
I understand that, but when you look at the numbers from 2022 to 2023, there were only 30 individuals who were behind on their property taxes, where in 2023 to 2024, that number is tripled to actually 91. So you get 91 residents struggling to make their regular payment, and to hit them in the pocketbook with a high interest rate when they're already having a hard time, it, for me, is a hard pill to swallow.
6% is not a high interest rate.
Yeah, I understand, but it's at 6%, and you still have, you know,
It'll be-
three
it'll be a
times the
budget
number of
discussion.
people. So I'd like to have feedback from the council and maybe even from the public.
If I could, just as a procedural standpoint, I don't know how we would charge people one percentage, but change the percentage for other people.
No,
Has-
I mean across the board.
Oh, so for next budget season,
Ella's working on her
you want to make
budget.
it a 3%
Correct.
interest rate? Okay, I'm sorry, I
Correct.
misunderstood.
Through the chair. The numbers you mentioned, Doris, of 31% and 70%, or whatever those were.
No, they were, it's a, you know, 3 times the number.
Yeah, one of the reasons, major reason for that is because the older number, the 30, the older number, that's been into 2 years into foreclosure, or 2 years unpaid, so people are paying them. The
Okay.
second one is only maybe a year or 2 years that they're behind. That oldest number should be the smallest of all.
No,
And then
the-
they'll start paying their taxes off when, and I think, what's the date, February?
February 24th or 5th, they'll be going to foreclosure.
They'll be going to foreclosure.
Okay, the
So you're
numbers.
gonna see that the oldest number be a lot lower than the higher
Correct.
number.
The new number has increased by 3 times. So you got 91 residents struggling to make that
Yeah,
payment.
and what year was that in?
That's from 2023 to 2024.
Yes, that's not in foreclosure yet.
I don't want to wait till they get in foreclosure.
But that's why the numbers are lower. And legally, I think, Ally, you're gonna have to check with Judy on whether we can lower the interest rate on past due accounts.
But you probably
From the
can't on
previous
past.
year, from the previous year.
I'm saying moving forward.
So that will be discussed at your budget workshops.
I don't want to wait.
And that's what I was told last year. And then when we got to the budget workshop, oh, you should have brought this up before the budget workshop. So that's why she's probably doing it now.
I would
Exactly.
recommend doing some type of paperwork so you get to officially vote on this at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Will that be in time for your budget, Ella?
I'm gonna have my budget all wrapped up by the end of this month, but it's just a matter of a key punch, and Katie can go in and fix that.
Any other discussion?
On to public comment. I will read my statement. Any person wishing to verbally address the council on any matter may do so, providing permission is first obtained from the council chair. Each person addressing the council shall stand and give the person's name and address in an audible tone of voice for the record, and shall limit remarks to the time allotted of 3 minutes by the council chair. As remarks shall be addressed to the council as a body and not to any member thereof. No person other than the council and the person having the floor shall be permitted to enter into any discussion either directly or through a counselor without the permission of the council chair. No question shall be asked a counselor except through the council chair. Any persons making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks who shall become boisterous while addressing the council shall be forthwith by the council chair barred from further audience before the council, unless permission to continue is granted by the majority vote of the council. I do have one email from Mr. Roby. I can start to read that for you. Chair West, honorable members of the town council, this was December 23rd, he wrote this. This written communication under rule number 12 is for the purpose of proposing necessary revisions to the job posting for the town manager position and ensure it aligns with the town charter, relevant state laws, and accurate reflects the distinct roles within our governance structure. It is essentially to clarify the functional roles of the town manager, the town clerk, and the town council to provide a comprehensive understanding of the hierarchy, responsibility within our local government. Advisory roles of the town manager. Number 1, the town manager serves as its administrative role in the advisory capacity. The office's administrative functions should secondary to the authority of the town council and its elected home rule authority of the people. This distinctive should be made clear in both the job posting and description to ensure applicants understand the supportive nature of the role rather than an independent governing authority. Number 2, differences between town clerk and town council clerk. The town clerk holds a critical position responsible for maintaining official records, managing elections, and ensuring compliance with state regulations. This role is central to an open and transparent governance process, acting as a liaison between the administrative and the public. It plays a vital part in upholding the integrity of oath of office and town operations. Town council clerk. In addition, the town council clerk specifically supports the town council by impartial managing meeting agendas, minutes, communications, and documents relevant to council proceedings. This role is focused on facilitating the council's operation and ensuring that all actions are properly and impartially recorded and communicated. Number 3, importance of the town clerk role. The town clerk's duty and responsibility shall be emphasized as superior to that of the town manager within an administrative hierarchy, with a focus on the sanctity of an impartial execution of duties of these offices and their services to both the council and the people. This clarity reinforces the importance of these town clerkships, maintaining an open and transparent framework of governance. Number 4, scope of town manager responsibilities. It should be explicitly stated in the job postings that the administrative functions Anyone else? No one else wants to speak tonight?
Kyla Mahalovitz, 21 Corbett Lane. I'm a financially savvy gal. So my town has set our late tax fee for 3%, right? Let's just say they did. I'm gonna take my tax money, I'm not gonna pay it. What I'm gonna do is buy a bond. They're about 4.5% right now, maybe better. CDs are about 4.65. So what I'm gonna do is put my nearly $5,000 tax bill into a CD. And I'm gonna take it out after a year. And I'm gonna have a percent or two of profit because my town decided to incentivize late tax payments. So maybe just think about basic economics, basic functions of late fees, before we make any decisions to rehash arguments we've already gone through. Thanks.
No more discussions?
we have
I'm so sorry, I see you.
Mike Lubier, 873 Augusta Road. Three brief comments. I think one of the strong argument points to getting rid of the public safety department is that it would change nothing. Well, if it's gonna change nothing, then I really don't see the reasoning to do away with it. My belief is that it has paid its learning curve time, and I think we've heard from the three people heavily involved in it, the leadership group, and that it's working well. So I would support leaving that in place. The second thing is relative to the ambulance transfers. And I don't know much about the ambulance department, so there are other experts that have spoken to it. But I do know, I read the Morning Sentinel, and in August, I think, of last year, Gardner posted that they lost somewhere in the neighborhood of $900,000 with their ambulance service. And then I believe I read in December of this year that Waterville lost in the order of $500,000. So I understand we want to move forward with transfers, and that may be a positive, but I really wonder if having the ambulances at all was the right thing, and would we be better off with Delta and shoring up a great private enterprise that has served this community so well for a long, long time. And the last thing I would say is I do pay a fair amount of taxes in this town, and I would probably choose to reinvest and pay late.
Bill Sadowski, Quimby Lane. Over 4 months ago, I filed a grievance, a written grievance, with this town. And I haven't heard an answer since. Do I have to go elsewhere to get an answer, or will you people give me an answer to my grievance?
Through the chair. What grievance is that?
It's a written grievance handed to the town clerk. She has the grievance.
I'm sorry, did you say it was from 4 years ago?
4 months ago.
Oh, 4 months ago, I'm sorry.
It was told to me by Mr. West to do it in writing and submit it. Now, I expect an answer to this grievance.
So is he going to get an answer? Does anybody have an answer for him?
I believe, and I'm not 100% sure, but this involves an employee. So anytime there's an employee involved, then we don't go anywhere with telling anybody what happens with the employee.
He's not asking, are you asking to know what happened to an employee, or you
No.
just want to know if it's been taken care of?
No,
What is it you're asking for?
I'm asking for an apology is what I'm asking for.
From an employee?
The town manager.
Would you accept an apology coming from me on behalf of the town?
I guess
Yes, I would.
I guess we need to know what the apology is for. William, why don't you tell us
For
what it's...
rudely being told to get out of your office. That's what the answer is for.
Point of order,
What's your order?
not supposed to be going after anybody in the
Correct? That's correct.
Would you accept an apology on my behalf for
Yes,
the
I
town?
would.
I am so very sorry, because anytime a resident has an issue, it should be addressed. And if it wasn't addressed, I'm apologizing on behalf of the
Go
town.
after them.
I thank you very much.
You're more than welcome.
And another issue that I had, I was on the committee for the ambulance. And it was very, I don't know what the word I want to use. Delta was dealt an underhanded deal by Mr. Rodriguez. And I never had...
I'm just going to ask that you stop and not talk about employees
Okay, I'm
publicly,
sorry, but
okay?
he's long gone,
Okay, yeah, so we just don't talk about people who aren't here especially.
Okay, I won't talk about people that weren't here, but I wasn't allowed to vote. It happened during the medical thing that we had, and it was done by the internet. And I was not told about it, and I was not allowed to vote. Because my vote would have swung what is going on right now that you're having so much problem with. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Nobody else? We'll end this meeting. Motion to go into an executive session.
Have an executive session, motion to enter into an executive session pursuant to 36 MRSA subsection 841 2E, a poverty abatement discussion.
So move.
Second.
Doris LaBranche,
Yes.
Adam Lind,
Yes.
Jeff, Lee Trahan,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
Mike Joseph,
Yes.
Dale Mackler.
Yes.
And Fran Hudson.
Yes.
So motion to go in executive session passes 7-0.